basically just to say that today's event, the objective really is to organize a futures literacy workshop for students specifically. And the theme that was actually chosen by the students and directly themselves, by the Students' Union, was the value of higher education. I chatted long with Anissa on the phone. She was in Taiwan, and we put up all their concerns under the big, broad theme of value of higher education. The whole idea is to impress upon the students the importance of thinking structurally on the futures. How to think about what's ahead, not just 3 years ahead, 2 years ahead, 5 years, maybe a decade ahead at least of your future, and how to do it in a systematic fashion. So that was the main objective. Now, I need to explain to this program. It's a little bit complicated, because we wanted to do it purely via Zoom. So it will be quite exclusive. Only the invited participants would be brought in. But Tan Sri, being Tan Sri Zulkifli, was very open. And he said, I want it to be inclusive. So the first couple of hours, we are using the YouTube live webinar platform, which allows anyone and everyone to click in and listen. So everyone can listen to Tan Sri Zul and Dr. Anissa, Shakil, and the rest. However, at 10:15 a.m., the 60 students who are the chosen participants will be broken up into 6 groups. And each group will have a designated facilitator and a note taker. And they will be discussing themes which have been selected, sub-themes chosen by the students themselves. After 1 hour, 25 minutes, Tan Sri Zul, these students look forward to presenting their thoughts to you. So everyone's going to expect the rector to be back in the room at 11:40. I'm saying this because I don't want you to be kidnapped and you get busy with some other agenda on your schedule. I know you're very busy. So by 11:40, Tan Sri Zulkifli, the rector, will be back to listen to all 6 presentations, Anissa and Shakil, in the main hall. And that platform is again YouTube. So everyone registered, can be hundreds of people, thousands, will be listening to all of you. Now, during that 10:15 to 11:40 window, the Deputy Rector, Dr. Zul Hassan, who is also trained in futures and very passionate about student development, he will be chairing a forum looking at student activism and futures. This is his baby. He chose the panelists and he's going to take care of it. So Dr. Zul will be there with panelists coming from outside IIUM to listen to our students. So that's it. And Dr. Anissa will wrap up at the end. Without further ado, I would like to invite the Maya co-founder, Dr. Anissa Abdullah and Shakil Ahmad, to speak about her organization and what Futures is all about. Anissa, the floor is yours. Tafaddal.
I thought Tan Sri is supposed to give a short speech.
Okay. But he said he has got something on. That's not okay. No, his schedule keeps changing. Okay, no, Tan Sri, you have 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay,
and then I know you're going to be kidnapped by someone else right after this.
Yeah, I'll take less than that. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for having this. I know this is a program that is look forward to by many students. And that's the reason why we want as many students to be involved as possible. I think we need a number of manipulation. I don't know whether it will work, but certainly we're going to try. I want to avoid to have this idea of being futures as an elitist program. So we were thinking initially just about 60 of them, but then the thousands of them will not be participating. And therefore it becomes, a kind of a dislocation between the small group and the larger group. Alhamdulillah, we are trying to organize it into a YouTube thing as described by Zarina. Hopefully there is a sense of urgency among the students that they must change. You're talking about systematic thinking. Sometimes I'm very happy if they start thinking. Systematic is a second choice. Sometimes our students are not thinking in the sense they are being pushed left, right, and center by politicians, by the environment around them, sometimes by emotions. And I think we had a very unpleasant interaction with them lately, where they make demands without understanding what the situation is all about. In other words, they are not even in the mode of future thinking and trying to understand what's going on. It is complicated, but I think we need to attempt this. So I'm very grateful that this comes on board, and certainly with people like Dr. Anissa, who are familiar with the university, will probably give a better background of what this university is all about, and Shakil as well at the same time. Thank you very much. Yeah. So I look forward, but I am sharing myself with three group of people today. At at 11, I think somehow I'll be involved with another group from San Francisco. This is a couple who are trying to learn Bahasa Malaysia, and we have volunteered to teach them from Malaysia. And they've gone through this program for 4 years, and now they are able to speak Bahasa Malaysia, and they want to interact with me. So I will spend some time with them. Zarina, with or without me, please start. I will join you the moment I am available, because that program in San Francisco is also to highlight that International Islamic University is also trying to spread its wing in terms of the use of language, and particularly Bahasa Malaysia, which is almost considered, quote unquote, a dead language if you don't do this across the board. So this is an opportunity for us to do that, and I'll certainly come back as soon I'm done with that. But knowing that Dr. Zul is there, I think we are in good hands, because he's also, as you mentioned, very passionate about this. Yeah. So I would like to end by just thanking everybody, particularly Anissa and Shakil, for devoting one whole day, I think today, almost, or half a day. Yeah. And I think it's a good start. After that, we will also try and attempt this with a group of staff, so that the whole university is, embracing this future literacy thing, which is new. And as you know, we have already got our own future scenario, which is IIM 2020, and that needs to work. And it will not work. 2040, sorry. It will not work if we are not into this literacy thing, and the way we are trying to take this on board. Yeah. So that is a big agenda ahead of us, and I am really very grateful to your help, difficult as it is. I think that's what life is all about, how to surmount all this difficulty that we are facing. And certainly some of the methods in future thinking will help us to do that. So on that note, thank you very much, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have given the best there is. Zarina had just finished one with the campus Pago yesterday, and that was also done quite well. So we hope this will go in the same line today, inshallah. So thank you very much. All the best. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Thank you so
Pleasure.
much for giving us all the energy, the direction, the support. And may God bless you, because you're always going at 150 kilometers per hour, and I'm trying to keep up. Anissa, the floor is yours. Tafadhal.
Okay. So thank you very much, Tan Sri, for inviting us and involving us in the big agenda of IIUM in moving forward in your future plans. And so today we are just here to hopefully contribute a very little bit of effort in helping to advance futures literacy to the IIUM nation, and all participants who are listening in as well. So I'm going to share my screen with you. So welcome to Futures Literacy Workshop. So today our discussion is centered around the value of higher education. And I'd like to take a few minutes to just introduce our collective. We are actually a group of friends coming together. We came together during the lockdown last year, and we were thinking, people were going through a lot of emotions. People are stressed out, and everything was new, everything was weird, and how do we, process everything? So then I call up my friends and say, hey, would you like to do something for people, to help people just to process and understand all the change that we are going through? And as these people are very kind and very generous in, contributing their time and effort. So we thought we could use what we know to help people. So today we are joined by Shakil, while the rest of the group are not here. And as you can see, our group is very diverse and we come from very different backgrounds as well. And the one very colorful one is Jessica. She's a Mexican and she's a professional clown. So performing arts is her specialty. And so what we wanted to do was really to bring the fun bit into futures literacy. Learning about future should be fun and colorful. So, right. So why we call ourselves Maya, it's an abbreviation for May All Inspire All. So we thought that everybody, once we, have a sense of futures thinking, we hope that you will also inspire more people to come on board about futures literacy. So I will pass this on to Shakil, who will take you through our card game. Shakil.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anisa. And yeah, I think even before we go into a card game, I think a lot of the times when we speak about the future, like we tend to use certain lofty statements. For example, that the people will be empowered or emancipated or equity will be achieved. But a lot of the times, like we wonder, like what will the future actually look like in terms of like what will it visually be like? What will it smell like? What will it sound? Or like what are the tastes and the touches? And to really like get a sense of being completely immersed in the future, right? So imagine that. I mean, even I think the prof mentioned about even the year 2040 as well. Like, what would the stories of 2040 be like? So, in the interest of that, we actually came up with this card game, a card game called All of Our Futures, to rapidly create possible stories of living in the future, right? And the game is pretty simple, right? It's supposed to be rapid, entertaining, and really to like help us think. I mean, of course, we use the word out of the box, but divergently, right? And so on the screen, Anisa, if you look at if you go straight to the screen, like with the card game, and I think we can go straight into like what it looks like. So on the screen, like what every time we play the game, we draw 5 cards. So if you can draw 5 cards, so you can see like 5 different aspects of the future show up, right? Different themes. So there are about 100 cards in total, but every time you draw 5 cards. So the 5 cards that we see right now are smart cities, pedestrians, new world order, minimum wage, and new reading. And the objective is that now, like each person has to try to create a story from the future that involves all these 5 cards. And of course, whoever completes the story first can always like put it into the chat. So we're not going to play the game right now. I'll just do a quick practice round with these cards. So for example, there are these new 5 cards, and to give you an example of a story, right? I can just say that, okay, like in the future, when all good number of Malaysians were settled in Mars. Sorry, Anissa, let's stick to one. These 5 cards, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, let's stick to it. So in the year 2050 or 40, imagine that a good number of Malaysians are settled on Mars, and the Earth is peaceful. There are no more formal universities and schools because people have learned through multiple pandemics that now people can learn anywhere and everywhere. So education has become very available through multiple different platforms. So, and especially since governments took up comprehensive education policies, right? And in comprehensive education policies, they saw that in order to make sure that everyone can be a part of education, they figured in their whole measurement of success being gross national inspiration instead of GDP or GNP. They thought that that wherever you are, whether you're on Mars or on Earth, we can all be educated through these platforms. So this is just a quick example of a story you can make. You can make any story that you want, right? And it's really up to your imagination. So this is just an example. So what I'm going to do is we're going to share 5 new cards and think of a story, and you can write the story in the chat, right? So we'll give you 5 minutes. So any stories with these 5 cards. So the cards are: home businesses are thriving, humans become like gods, maybe as powerful as that, 3D printer in every home, mutants with superpowers, and we live with animals. So you can share your story in the chat. I'll be writing a story as well, but any of you, yeah, so a story about the year 2040, 50 is up to you. I mean, choose whichever year in the future. That's up to you, but try to make any story with all these 5 cards. If there are any questions, feel free to also use the chat if there's any confusion. But otherwise, that's the activity. Okay. And as I mentioned, I think I'll be writing a story as well. So let's take a few minutes, and if anyone is also watching this live wherever you are, I mean, you can feel free to use your own notebook or anything. See whether you can make a story with this. And the story can be it can be positive, negative. It's really up to you. But any story about the future using these 5 cards. Okay, so I see Dr. Anis has written one story. The year is 2040. Everyone is a producer and entrepreneur as we can print everything at home. Humans now have superpowers because of the food we eat. Animals are friends, and they have ID cards. So I see another story. Either the first group from IIU has reached from Mars. Okay, so that's from the previous deck of cards. We're placed with a group of Africans in a settlement meant for youths. It is nice not to have attended any classes. We can just spend time in the garden studying. Everything that we need to read is within reach. Just close my eyes and we will be able to get the information we want. Okay, so thank you. That's with the previous cards. But for now, let's also use the cards on the screen to make the new story. Yeah, the ones on the screen right now. But thank you for that. Yeah, so that's exactly what we're supposed to do. Great. So I see Muhammad Irwan also come up with a new one. In the future, humans will be very merciful and forgiving. They've realized how the past mistakes are costly. Everyone now will have many additional skills like superpowers because we're able to learn many things due to the long-lasting peace that they now produce whatever they need in their own home. We understand animals and they understand us, and we help each other for mutual benefits. Beautiful, right? So a very positive story. All right, so we'll do, let's see another example. So Noor Honey, thank you for that. In the year 2090, so they're around 70 years from now, 5 humans found a new element that turned them into mutants with superpowers. These humans became gods and decided to use their powers for the good of the world. They gifted all families with a 3D printer, causing all human businesses, home businesses to thrive. Humans continued to live with animals and began 3D printing extinct animals. So it's kind of like dinosaurs back and maybe a bit of Jurassic Park and all that. Awesome, great stories. All right, so let's do. I mean, continue making the stories. Okay. Zarina, thank you, Zarina, for making one. I work from home making natural medicine, and I developed my sixth sense or my firasat with the blessings of Allah. I think with my heart and act from my heart, and I enjoy coexisting with animals, and won't ever need to see hungry cats and dogs by the streets. So thank you. All right, so let's do one more round with a new set of cards. All right, so this is the example, and let's see how quickly we can make another one this time. All right, so the new cards are businesses based on community solutions, robots at home, upcycle waste materials, beyond capitalism, and taxing the rich. Right, so those are 5 cards, and these 5 cards are really randomly drawn. Right, so let's see what new stories you can come up with these new set of cards. And of course, if you're writing a story already, feel free to also post it in the chat. There's no. And also, like, feel free to use any, I think any language you want to post in the chat as well. All right, it's absolutely fine. It's up to you. Yeah. All right, I hope people are writing. Okay, I see a new one. Okay, from Zarina as well. Thank you. My robots will clean my lawn and mop my floors. I won't ever need to hire extra help because our helpers are well-to-do and won't ever need to be cleaners like these days. We eat what we grow. Malls are no longer in existence. Waste material is being recycled all the time. People are not keen to accumulate wealth mindlessly because greed is against our natural nature. Instead, we look far and wide for old and weak who need help, and wealthy people rush forth to help. All right, thank you for that. And let's see what Ahmed Rabi wrote. I think in the future, everyone should aim at setting their businesses. I believe relying on business will make me more great. If everyone continued to use God-gifted talent, poverty trap would be history. I believe everyone has potential to fly if you're ready to be creative and proactive. So thank you for that. Fairuz said the year 2050, at this point, businesses are mainly focused. Okay, I think the middle of a story there. I just reached home using my personal flying vehicle. My robots just cleaned up the house, baked cookies, and cooked nice nasi biryani. Everything is squeaky clean. Yahoo! There's a letter on the table stating that I don't need to pay tax as the YB next door is paying for me. I am now having shower from recycled water from the next door factory. Thank you. We're really getting in there. All right. And Nurhani also wrote, in the year 2040, humans started businesses based on community solutions. They came up with a new system of government beyond capitalism and began the rich, taxing the rich, prioritizing the environment by upcycling waste materials and making robots at home. Right. So exactly using the cards. And we can even see more. Okay. So there's a lot of 6 new messages. So I would encourage those who are able to read the messages. I think the people on YouTube may not be able to read it, but then the rest of you in this room can see other things. So let me see what else is there. 2007, capitalism failed miserably due to huge inequality between rich and poor. Islamic economies have been generally accepted as one of the main alternatives besides other heterodox economic systems, such as circular economic model, which emphasizes on reuse, recycle, and upcycle. The rich are now being taxed, and they sincerely pay taxes because they want to do their parts to help the poor. Both rich and poor now communicate more often and always work as a team to address any issues and find business solutions. Robots are intended to increase well-being of people and not replacing human labor. All right, so a lot of different stories are coming out, and I think what we can do is we can save some of these stories in the chat and continue. Anissa, do we have time for one more round?
Yes, we do if you want.
Okay, all right. So that's one last round because I can see already people's juices are flowing. So let's just creative juices are flowing. So this is the last round for this game. So let's see what you come up with, right? And I think try not to just use the words directly, but see whether you can actually put yourself in there, right? I think the words are just prompts for you to think about that future. So teleportation, climate crisis, patriarchy, personalized learning, 2 countries merged to 1 country. All right, so 2 different countries merged to 1 country.
Oh, Shaki, it seems the participants can't read the chat.
The attendees cannot?
Yeah, that's what I saw a message saying. So, is that true? The tech people, participants can't read the chat. The text can only be read by panelists.
Okay. So do you think it's better just to read it?
But we put there panelists and attendees. If you were to send it to panelists and attendees, it should be fine, no?
Yeah, ideally, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think you can send the chat to all panelists and attendees. If you do that, if you send it only to panelists, then only panelists can read. But if you send it to all, then it should be fine.
Can we check if attendees, can you read? Can you read the chat, attendees? Can you just send us a message and say yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Yes, we can only see some. Okay.
Yeah. So there's only a few coming out, so that's fine. All right. So let's do one more round, and then and again, this is just the beginning. It's just really to help you get in there and also realize that there's so many different possibilities, right? I mean, if you notice that when we say futures thinking, futures literacy, futures is always plural. We're not using singular, but it's in plural. That means there's not just one future. There can be many different futures, and that's why there are all these different possibilities that you can make, even just with a few different words. So let's do just one more round with these words and see what you can come up with. Okay, thank you. Yes, if you guys want everyone to see, then please send to all panelists and attendees. Then and the way to do that is that above 2 there's an option where you can click whether it's all panelists or all panelists and attendees. Okay, so last round. Great. Okay, so we have a new one coming up that I'm Muhammad Irwan again. I'm now living in the North Pole due to the climate crisis that destroyed the tropics. It's okay. I can easily teleport to Makkah to perform Umrah and Hajj anytime. As a father, every night I'm worried, thinking that I need to make sure all my daughters are married to the right men, since the society now is extremely patriarchal. My kids no longer need to go to school. Instead, they can just click whatever they want to learn from the PC and follow the syllabus. North Pole has merged with Canada, the other few remaining good countries on Earth. Okay, interesting. All right, so another one we see by Ida Madiha is, today I decided to teleport myself to the year 2050. I found myself in peninsular Malaysia, where Johor and Singapore decided to kiss and make up. Whoa, serious? Yeah, they're planning to merge. It seems that Singapore decided to come back to Malaysia. As with the climate crisis, it is having a problem getting clean water from Malaysia. Teleported back to 2021, I decided to take that story as my personal reflection. Okay, for my course in the university. Very, very nice. Yeah. Interesting. And I think yeah, I mean, and if you can imagine that if people can teleport to each other, then what will borders be like? Like, will borders exist, or will it be something else because people can just teleport? Or maybe you need a visa in order to teleport. Who knows? Well, all sorts of possibilities, right? And I think and yeah, I think that's essentially it, right? I mean, of course, I mean, there are three things that just like to highlight through this game. That, of course, again, I said that there's not just one feature; there are multiple features. The second thing, that this type of rapid storytelling really helps individuals or organizations or groups to open up their minds for new ideas, to help them be better prepared for the future. Right? Sometimes a lot of the things in the future we can't really anticipate, but they just happen, right? Like, who knew in 2018, even though some people were saying there might be a virus, but then who knew that in 2018 that we'll be in a situation like this, right? Even though there were definitely all these warning signs and science, but it is what it is, right? Like, but for everyone to be more prepared, this really helps. And the last thing is that like, this sort of storytelling really helps you live in the future, like to delve deeper into the deeper part of your imagination, to step outside your comfort zone and really consider possibilities that have hardly been considered before, even if these possibilities sometimes sound silly or ridiculous as well, right? But in fact, one of Jim Dader, another futurist, one of his laws of the future is that any useful statement about the future should at first seem ridiculous. So thank you, for playing this game so far. And Anissa, I just hand it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Shakil. And you guys, this was awesome. And I'm really impressed with, you actually bring your imagination up to speed, and there's some awesome stories going there. And love to see how Malaysia and Singapore kiss and make up, and maybe Malaysia, Indonesia, and Malaysia and Thailand as well. So many of us can be together and be, muhibah, come together and be good. Oh, sorry, my video is off. Okay, right. So thank you, Shakil. That was a wonderful session with the game. And now I'd like to take you through a brief introduction of futures. So Future Studies 101. And this is just to get all of us on the same page. Hang on a minute, I think I missed one. Okay, now these are some of the terms if you were to look for what future study is. And so if you were to Google, you type in your search, your browser, right? They search for future studies, strategic foresight or transformative foresight, discipline of anticipation, perspective, and futures literacy. And you get lots and lots of content out there written by professionals. There are some professional futurists. A lot are from academics or published materials on journals like World Futures Review and the Futures Journal and the Journal of Future Studies. So there are quite a lot. There are plentiful materials out there for those of us who are really interested in finding out more. So today we're just gonna, because it's a really short workshop, I'm just gonna give you a sneak peek, hopefully to stir some, to inspire your curious mind and for you to get on to learn more, right? And as Shakil said, and what the game has brought us to show us that, futures are plural. That's why we have futures studies, futures with an S. So we don't say the future, there are many futures out there. They're alternative and they're plural, and they're diverse in nature, as how the card game has already, bring an awareness to us that, anything could happen in the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And particularly now with the pandemic, it just, it created a perfect storm, really, to make us realize that things can change. And if things we are pushed to change, it will change really quick overnight. So when we talk about futures, the 3+3 futures that we normally base our work on is possible future. Possible future is something that might happen no matter how far out, knowledge that we don't have. Like what Elon Musk is doing with, rocket flying out and returning. So, he's doing a lot of trial and error because we don't even have the knowledge yet. We always knew that when we fly a rocket out to space, it will never come back. It come back in pieces. But now Elon Musk, his company, SpaceX, is trying out how to use rocket for city travel. So very soon, this is going to be happening. This is a possible future, right? It's not yet possible now. It sounds ridiculous, but it's not so ridiculous when it happens. And the next future is a probable future, something that is likely to happen. So probability, a continuation of current trends. So things that probability, this is a probable future. And plausible future is things that could happen with what we know now with current knowledge. So a lot of futurists will always say, yeah, it's possible, it's possible. So we don't even know, we don't have the knowledge, but no matter how far out, there's a possibility that it will happen. So the 3 futures, yeah. And future studies is rooted on theories of social change and stability. And they are the 3 broad and interconnected concepts that explain future studies: novelty, continuity, and cycle. So novelty we always introduced with new things in the society, like, for example, self-driving cars. A lot of us do not yet realize the implications and issues that are related to self-driving cars. So MIT has been doing research looking into what are some of the consequences with self-driving cars on the streets. Are we going to leave these self-driving cars to make decisions for us because we're going to sit back and the cars just drive, right? Who are we leaving those decisions to? People the manufacturers that manufacture the car, or programmers who, created the artificial intelligence in the car? Or what? Are we going to leave all these decisions to other people? So how do we deal with this, right? So there are always new things, new trends, new ideas that are introduced to society, and we ought to be aware of it. And continuity. And we think that, electric cars are actually new, but they are not. Dates back to 1832 when the first electric car was invented. So this is a continuity. It's continuous change.
I think Anissa may have gotten stuck, huh?
Anissa, we cannot hear you.
Shakil, do you want to take over?
Yeah, I think she'll be back. She'll probably be back in a bit. Let me just see where she was. Hold on. With the thing, right? But I think essentially where, hold on, has Anissa dropped out completely? Yeah, she's dropped out completely. Okay.
Maybe she's going to log in again.
Yeah, she'll log in again, right? No, I think yeah, I think I mean at the point at which I mean she's trying to get into like what are the different aspects in which we try to look at the future when it comes to all these different images of the future. And of course the future doesn't exist yet, right? It's about to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And future studies is not really, future thinking is not really a study of the future because it's not happening yet, but studies about these ideas of the future. Like what are the images and ideas that people have thought about it right now or even in the past. So so in that case, I think I mean she was talking about novelty and continuity. But let me just see. I think I do have a presentation, so if I can just pull it up, then maybe we can continue.
I just remembered where she stopped off when she spoke about self-driven cars that, you know, and she said that they've studied the consequences. So, I mean, is there something sinister? In other words, like if it's successful, but the ramifications on society and in different ways is actually negative?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, because I think what we do is like in this future seeking thing is there's a particular tool, for example, that we use called the futures wheel, where we're always like trying to explore like the different implications, whether it's positive or negative, right? Something, even though something good potentially might happen, right? There still might be a positive effect of that and a negative effect as well.
Right.
But the idea is just to generate all these different alternatives, like she said, like what's possible, what's preferable, just to so that at least you are much more strategically resilient, right? And you're not, the future does not take you by surprise. Anissa, are you back? I think you're muted, Anissa.
Sorry, yes, I am. My internet.
Yeah.
No, I can't see my video.
Oh.
Switch it on. Don't switch it on because then the quality of your voice will be better without the video on. Not a problem.
Okay. Sorry. You can hopefully see the screen now.
Yes,
Yeah.
can see the screen.
Excellent. So we were talking about. Did you cover this, Shakil?
No, you can continue. You can continue.
Okay. So we talked about how some things continue to change and evolve over time. So in 1382, the first electric car was invented, and now it has evolved until we see a beautiful Tesla on the road, right? So now, then the next thing is cyclical theory. So macro history actually help us take a long-term view of change and challenges us to look for cycles or patterns when thinking about the future. So macro historians look into how the society change, and that is very important when we think about the future. So, and Ibn Khaldun actually recorded why civilizations rise and fall, and he found that civilizations fell because there was a decrease in social unity, asabiya, and there's no more solidarity between the people. And from his record, he found that every generation of a civilization lasts for 3 generations. So the 3 generations will go through the 5 stages, and it will decline and dissolve. And the next, the new civilization will come on because they have stronger bond, stronger unity, and solidarity, right? And so what disturbs us or the shock of the system is actually discontinuous change. If things are continuous, it's not so scary because it's coming, like, new cars, new models of cars. Every few years we get a new model of car, or your mobile phone. Every year you get a new update on your mobile phone. So all those are continuous change. What is challenging is this continuous change, because we don't have patterns to work with. We don't have decision models that we can fall back on. So COVID-19, as I've said, has created a perfect storm to show us that, things will not remain the same for a lot of us. And if you see the numbers of total confirmed cases in between 22nd January and 27 March was 700 over 1,000 cases confirmed. Now, on this chart, on the 24th of February, a global cases confirmed was, look at the number, right? I can't even read that. Like, what's that? What's the number? It's just crazy. A number of deaths, like 2 million. Before it was 35,000. So this COVID-19 has created this real, shock to our system, made us realize that a lot of things can change and will change when it has to. And so, like, I think Tan Sri was saying, how do we manage this change? How do we ride the storm? Okay. So the role of future studies. So why is futures literacy important? Future studies encourage us to imagine and and to invent new things, to detect novelty, to improvise, to be spontaneous, rather than being helpless, feeling like we are locked in a roller coaster seat, nothing that we can do to change the direction that's laid out for us by others. That's the worst. So future studies encourage us to alter that sense of fear of the unknowables. So, and what we want to do here is to create an ability for people to feel comfortable with not knowing, with uncertainties as they live their lives in a way that would have taken those uncertainties into account. We want to cultivate future studies and future literacy as a universal human capability, as in how we can write and read. We practice writing, right? When we were young, we practice reading. When we go to kindergarten, or as 3 years old, our parents start to make us read. So futures thinking is something that is an ability and is a capability as well as a skill that needs to be cultivated. So that's the role of future studies here and why we're here today. We want to introduce a very exciting exercise to help us get started with our futures thinking. It's called the Futures Triangle. It was first created by Sohail Inayatullah, a prominent figure in the futures space. So the Futures Triangle represents the 3 push and pull forces that shape our future. What pulls us towards the future, what pushes us to the future, and what weighs us down from change and progress. The pull of the future is when we think about, what is your preferred future? And how can our lives as students be better? Since today we are talking to students, think of yourself, think of your life, and how can our lives be better? What does better mean to you? How can we live and learn better? What would be the ideal future for students given the situation, right? What are the futures that we want to avoid? And think about what do we lack to influence change? What are our limits, right? So that's the pull of the future. And the weights of the past are our traditions, and we hold on dearly to our traditions, our practices. And you always hear people say that's how things have always. That's how we have always done, done our work. That's the way we do things. That's how things always are. And those are some of the things that hold us back. Like if we refuse to look into how our holding on to some of the old ways of doing things are not relevant anymore. And those become the barriers to change. And what are some of the deep structures that resist change, right? Just now, one of the in the card game talks about patriarchy. And so does that work well with today's world patriarchy? Think about that too. Like the push of the present, and push of the present are trends and social change or advancements of technology that are changing the future right now. And a lot of us refuse or are reluctant to adopt some of the new changes. Like I am a reluctant food panda user. I don't want to order food online and get people to deliver it to me. And I would much prefer to go and get food on my own. You know, I know this is a trend and everybody's doing it, but I'm still, if the store is, you know, I would get some food that's around my neighborhood rather than ordering something that would take 40 minutes to come to my way. So yeah, so but I can't hold on for much longer, because what if all businesses go online, right? So I have to move forward too. So that's the push. Something is pushing me to go forward, even if I don't want it. So after considering the past, the present, and what we prefer, if you could hold a small piece of the future in your hands, how might that shape the decisions you would make today? So, and I want to show you some of the examples. Hang on. And for the futures triangle, before I break you up into the different rooms. Continue to share my screen. Okay, right. Now you will be taken into different rooms and sit together with a group of people for discussion. And we would like you to think about how your preferred future would look like. What's the preferred future for Malaysia and my community in 2040, for example? How can our lives be better? And what I have here are some examples of a better world, like the end of trash, like technology for good rather than technology, you know, making us be lazier, or like technology like being online all the time. We would think that we have friends, but we don't actually have friends. So that's not really technology for good. So how can we navigate that, right? And the future is likely to be some billionaire capitalists are designing humanity's future. Are we going to allow that to happen, right? And every country continue to say, you know, we want a higher GDP year on year. Let's go for 10%. Let's go for 15. Let's go for 20. You know, who are the people who are pushing this GDP forward? People are working harder and harder every day. People are working, you know, more than 13 hours for very little pay, and they can hardly afford to live decently with a decent house or even have proper transportation. But we are working harder and harder just to push the economy to grow bigger and bigger. Is that desirable? That's when Bhutan has gone to gross national happiness as their indicator for the country rather than the GDP. Okay, so those are some examples of what are the pull of the future, what is pulling us to a better future. And your facilitator will take you through that. I just want to share some with you here. And then we have the ways of the past, some culture and traditions, right? What does success mean? There are always a set of societal expectations. Like my parents always saying that being engineers, doctors, lawyers, accountants are the greatest achievement for as a parent. If you have done anything else, it's a dishonor to the family. So, you know, but is this success means, what does it mean to us now, the new generation, the Gen Z, right? Do they still want to be engineers or doctors or lawyers or accountants? And some systems and structures are holding us back as well. Like, for example, learning in the university, learning approaches has always been conservative and one size fits all kind of approach. And some educators hang on to what they know best and they refuse to change. So we have this boomers versus Gen Z, right? The Gen Z are in our class and I'm an educator, I'm a lecturer. I cannot keep thinking, holding on to my tradition and the way that I do things without recognizing how the Gen Z react and respond to our classes, right? And our society is always taught that employability is very, very crucial. It's an outcome of higher education. But is employability the only outcome of higher education? What about job creation? Right. The push of the present, as I've said just now, technology is pushing us forward. So people are becoming more and more dependent on technology. Like Panasonic has now created a robot cat. It's called Nikobo, and it can react to your emotions. It can be happy or sad, and so people are now building relationships with technology, whether we like it or not. That's the world we're going to live in. And Gen Z has not seen the world without technology. So these are the biggest proportion in our university right now. How do we manage that? And these are the new skills reported by the World Economic Forum. These are some of the skills that is crucial right now that university has to work on developing. So those are some of the ideas that I'd like to share with you when you go into your breakout rooms for discussion. So today, the discussion teams are as follows, and you will be put into breakout rooms, and we spend like about 20 minutes for each of the dimension of the future triangle, and you come back with a short presentation about, if you hold a small piece of the future in your hands, what are your decisions today? So, and take it away to the breakout rooms.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Anissa. ITD, our wonderful IT people, without you, this would not have been possible. Can we please now, we have got the name list, we've got the facilitators. Yes, Eliana, come help us. Okay, no worries. Eliana will use my.
Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone. Thank you so much for attending the main room session. Right now, we need you to leave this main room because we're going to have another session on this main room, which is a forum at 10:15. So I hope everyone will be in the breakout session to leave this main room and then click the link on the breakout session, which will be given by your note takers in your group WhatsApp. Thank you so much for attending this main room. See you in the breakout sessions. Thank you. Do you want to repeat that? It's clear for everyone? Is that clear? Do you need Eliana to repeat? Should be fine. Okay. Okay, we have a WhatsApp group with all facilitators. We have WhatsApp groups with all note takers. And look at your phones or look at your WhatsApp on your laptop. Okay, Nurhani binti Rehan is not in the WhatsApp group. Eliana. Yes. Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum. This is
Hani.
okay for Hani binti Rehan. We have already invited all of the registered participants to our WhatsApp group. I will contact you personally to ask you to invite you to the WhatsApp group. Yes. Okay.
Is that your number? Nurhani 88227905.
Yeah. Is that your number? 88227905.
I'm not asking your metric number, asking your handphone number, my dear.
Yeah. Can I have like the 013 or 012 so that it's easier for me to contact you? Thank you so much, Hani.
Ya, Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Naim is already in. Dr. Dell.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Cik Ahmad, Dr. Zulkifli is inside?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
All right.
Dr. Fadilah is already inside. Ahmad Naim, brother Naim as well.
We're waiting for the Warahmatullah. Dr. Zul. Yes, he is.
Hello, shall we start?
Shall we start? Yeah, with Dr. Zul, tapi Encik Harul Arifin, Muhammad Muni is not in yet.
It's not in it. I think we can start. So he can join later. Is it possible that like that? Yeah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Tapi Encik Harul Arifin, Muhammad Muni is not in yet.
Yes, maybe he will join us
I think we can
later.
start.
Yeah, we'll
So,
just.
he can join later.
Yes, I was
Is it
just.
possible that like that?
Yes, I think I'm Arina. So sorry that I've not had a chance to meet all of you before this. And I'm the head of future studies based in the rector's office, and we are organizing.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Sorry, who is talking? And somebody who's talking.
Yes,
in
maybe
this
he will
group.
join us later.
I was just. Yes, I think I'm Arina. So sorry that I've not had a chance to meet all of you before this, and I'm the head of future studies based in the rector's office.
I think the voice comes from the Facebook because it may lag.
Delay.
A second. Dr. Zul.
Yep.
Kita punya program ni, it is meant for student, right? For student activism.
Yes. Correct.
Okay.
And for students.
Sekarang ni kalau university kan, is there any particular university already embed future study or future literacy into their 3 years, 4 years bachelor degree?
I don't think so. But as of now, the university, I think, just explore it, but not to embed in their programs. But as of now, I think few universities already embark on the project.
Okay.
This live, already live.
Yeah, you're on live now. So apa khabar semua?
Dr. Del, how are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Madam Zarina ada?
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Zul.
All right.
Apologize for that technical glitch. They switched on the YouTube on my laptop with the Zoom. So that's why there were 2 Zarinas talking at the same time. It's as if artificial intelligence is manufactured another person. So when I was speaking to you on Zoom, YouTube won't repeat what I'm saying a few minutes later.
We experienced this, I think, yesterday or before yesterday with Tasuractor.
Yes.
Okay. Shall we start, Madam Zarina?
Yes, we shall start. I'm just going to introduce you to everybody.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli sayyidina Muhammad. Sayyidina Muhammad, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa min lisani yafqahu qawli. I'm Zarina Nala. I'm from IIUM, Office of the Rector. I've been tasked to organize a Futures Literacy workshop, and this workshop is meant for students. We're looking at futures thinking, value of higher education. And I'm really blessed, alhamdulillah, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Dr. Zul Hassan, our Deputy Rector, kindly decided to support this initiative. And he said that he will help us organize the forum. I'm very grateful because Dr. Zul has been exposed to future studies even before I was brought in. I only joined September last year. I'm very new, new kid on the block. So Dr. Zul, everyone was saying to me, really, I'm not just saying this, that he's very, very passionate. He is the man when you want to talk about student development, student activism. They were saying, get Dr. Zul, get Dr. Zul. And alhamdulillah, he was so willing, he was so busy, yet so humble. He came to see me and he said, I have this time, and he will take care of it. So I thank Dr. Zul from the bottom of my heart, and every other panelist who's here today. And the floor is yours, Dr. Zul.
Thank you very much, Madam Zarina. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh min shururi anfusina min sayyiati a'malina, tahiyatan tayyibah barakatan min indillah, amma ba'd. Thank you very much to the host, to the organizer, for inviting me to be the moderator for today's sessions. Thank you very much to Dr. Norfadillah and Brother Ahmad Naim and everyone for accepting and joining this forum on futures thinking on student activism and development. Let us start with praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, peace and blessing be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and let us be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are able to join this session, forum on futures thinking on student activism and development. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I will not. I will play my role as a moderator, and I will not be the additional panelist. But allow me to just to share my reflection and to provide you certain context on this topic. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, student activism has an important role to play in higher education, and in fact, student activism is very, very important to support the functions of the university, intellectually, educationally, and socially. So throughout the world, the student activism has been a feature of higher education. In reviewing the literature or the discussion, the discourse on student activism in higher education, most of us or most research in this domain has been confined to conventional politics or concerned to national politics, and also to welfare and right of the students. But we need to think, what about the future of student activism? What about the future of student development? Okay, that we need sustainable and progressive student activism and student development. So students must not only just follow the old narrative, but must play a crucial role in the development of higher education and to play active part in societies, to influence social, political, economic, and cultural changes. So it's timely for the students to be more critical, to be more innovative, and to be effective communicators, to be a champion of change. Not only agent of change, but a champion of change. In this regard, futures thinking is essential. Futures thinking is very, very important. Why? Because without futures thinking, we will not have a visionary leaders. We will just have a typical leaders who will repeat the same mistakes, the same failures. So we need a new breed of leaders. So in this regard, I would like to bring all of you to discuss this important topics, the futures thinking on student activism and development. And alhamdulillah, we managed to bring to you the foresight practitioners. I call it the foresight practitioners, not only foresight practitioners, but also student activists as well. Okay, I know all of them for quite, I think since my student days. They are very instrumental and have played a very important roles in different sectors. Brother Ahmad Naim in business communities, Brother Harul Arifin in research sectors or think tank entities, and Dr. Norfadillah from higher education. So I will not prolong my introductions, but let us start the discussion, okay, and focus on the discourse, inshallah, that will the panelists will enlighten all of you. So let me start with panelist number one, Brother Ahmad Naim Jaafar. So allow me to introduce Brother Ahmad Naim. Brother Ahmad Naim Jaafar is the founder of Foresight Groups. He is a serial entrepreneur whose ventures range from education and training, consultancy, real estate, and digital businesses. Under Foresight Consulting, he leads a team of consultants that advise myriad of clients around strategic foresight and innovation practices across sectors. He is a lawyer by practice, has more than 17 years in corporate and capital market practice, including IPO, mergers and acquisition, and foreign direct investment. What is more important, he is a passionate learner and builder. He also has initiated multiple social impact ventures and initiatives in the area of talent development, youth empowerment, and nature of education. So, Brother Ahmad Naim, you have 15 minutes to reflect and to perhaps to start the ball rolling. Thank you. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Dr. Zul, Madam Zarina, my fellow panelists, brothers and sisters, it is indeed a great honor for having me today. Let me jump into the crack of the matter. When we discuss about future studies, I had a personal, very personal account when I was a student in IIM back in 1999. I came to know about future studies and strategic, or they call it scenario planning, during a session organized by WAMI. There was a conference officiated by the then President Almarhum Tan Sri Sanusi Junid. During his speech, he highlighted or actually made a specific reference to a book written by Peter Schwanz, The Art of Long-Term View. Okay, that actually struck me and actually opened up my horizon. How important future studies. But to put into perspective, during those days, we cannot Google. If I were here today, I would Google what is the art of long-term view is all about. I'm expecting students who are listening now would then quickly go to Amazon and check what art of long-term view books by Peter Schwanz was all about. He was the futurist at Shell Dutch Royal Company, and he has somewhat single-handedly predicted what is a fossil oil and petroleum industry was all about for the next 50 to 100 years. And during IIM Day, I also exposed to quite a numbers of futurists throughout Usrah and discussion. The name, the like of John Nesbitt, Megatrend, specifically Asian Megatrend, has really, uncovered how China gonna be for the next 30 years. And the third one that I really have a huge affection to is the late Alvin Toffler. I think the renowned futurist that has really shaped my perspective as far as future studies is concerned. His book, Future Shock, The Third Wave, and more profoundly, Revolutionary Wealth, I would say is the key driver of whatever methodology that we are deploying at Foresight. So looking from the perspective of this current moment, especially during pandemic, I would think that we are not that left far behind in terms of understanding about the future studies. The only challenge is that at this current moment, everyone needs to reset. Not only student, even the university's administration, leadership, political leadership. I would say I'm advising quite numbers of client. Yesterday, I had a meeting with my client under property development or real estate businesses. A market that exists in 2015 are no longer there. So to have an assumption that a market remain stagnant and remain exists, I think is a very I would say misleading and very counterproductive approach to solving problem in this current moment. Having said that, student at this particular moment, I think IIM has a competitive advantage since Dr. Zul has actually embarked on this project. Should redefine how student or university student especially would be able to play multiple role, to be more agile and more nimble in terms of their participation through certain spaces. Of course, university students still need to, put full commitment towards their studies. But at the same time, as I suggested earlier, we are in the world of cognitive surplus. We have a lot of surpluses created along digital communication, social media, and others. And university students should not limit themselves with whatever responsibility or function around universities. I still remember what Dr. Muhammad Yunus told Foresight students, first batch, that was back in 2012, during my session under Yayasan My Harapan, when he mentioned to us that it is quite a misleading when we say a future leader. There is no such thing as a future leader, because we thought previously we need to have to go through certain courses or training, graduating before becoming somewhat socially approved or kind of legitimate leaders. But at this current moment, everyone is a leader. Therefore, I would suggest students, especially, should create more avatar. Avatar means, for example, second year student in particular subject, particular courses, economic, for example, they have to look forward and push themselves, leapfrogging the linear trajectory of development by having, challenge themselves to engage with this current critical discourse about economy, for example. I would clearly suggest they go direct to a World Economic Forum discourse on stakeholders capitalism, for example. Push yourself to learn the spirit and the challenge of our moment, not simply getting attached to certain linear models of progress under your particular degree or your learning, your curriculum. So I think this is what we, I think, need to look into quite seriously. Let me give key tenet or key principles that embody what Foresight Consulting or Foresight Group is all about. Back in 1963, there was a guy, he was a co-founder of Intel. Intel, there were two co-founders, Andy Grove and Alan Kay. Alan Kay did mention a quote which is so famous when he did mention the best way to predict the future is to create it. So this quote, I think Alan Kay really meant it seriously. Why? Because he is at the forefront of the semiconductor industry during those days. Okay, they found silica is the most effective mineral for superpower computer during those days. So he is at the verge of a new revolution. And by the same time, he is a futurist. but at the same time, he is also innovator. That's why I would like to suggest strongly, we can have multiple or diverse methodology when it comes to understanding feature analysis or feature methodologies. And strongly, I would recommend everyone to have a look and having an open mind to see what model that really suit you. Sometimes some methodologies are too complicated, or some methodology are industry related or industry biased. For student, to me, start with something that you are comfortable with, and by the same time, you try to make yourself more, action based. Future is about understanding the future. Future study is about understanding the future. But at the same time, the ability to innovate and to design the future require innovation literacy. So this kind of literacy also need to be, back to back with a future literacy. The third one I also would like to suggest is about, by having future analysis or future literacy and also innovation spirit, okay, to create something by yourself, not only predicting it, not only analyzing it, but participating actively, okay? That's why the word which I popularly refer to is keberanian zaman. Okay, the spirit of your generation. In Germany, or in German language, they call it Zeitgeist. Okay, so students, not only student leaders, should find the spirit of your generation. That means you need to find what is so crucial, what is at stake at this moment. Don't get easily dragged or borrow whatever popular narrative that earlier generation have certain dominance over. Okay, you need to find very deep into your current generation what is so important about to fight for. The third one, this is also equally critical, which is on the ability to build entrepreneurship mindset, culture and practices. Because by having the formula, having a future studies and future literacies, you know what you are heading to. But at the same time, you have innovation methodology, how to go into, certain process of innovating from something, from nothing to something, and the ability to, maneuver or navigate the process through entrepreneurship practices. Surely you need to have a good mindset to become entrepreneur very early, good culture and good practices, and also network. I remember there is the late Sir Carubison once quoted that there are two type of world. First is the world that exists regardless whether you exist or not. There is another world that exists because we exist. So that means what we are discussing today is the world that is created by someone who initiated much earlier. I would give the credit to Tan Sri Zul and also Dr. Zul, and the first battalion of those who champion future studies to the IIM community, and surely will be the benefit for the Ummah. Thank you very much.
Dr. Zul is muted.
Okay, thank you very much to Brother Naim. Alhamdulillah for the insightful and thought-provoking ideas. I must concur with him that when he says that we have the cognitive surplus, yes, definitely the whole world have more than 1 trillion hours every year for a cognitive surplus. So it is time for us to spend this cognitive surplus for humanities. And it is also interesting when he talked about the two worlds by Sir Ken Robinson, because right now, our generations, or the young generation particularly, the students particularly, they talk about not only this real world, but also another world, not the hereafter, but the digital worlds. Because most of the time, right now, the young generation, they spend most of their time, and in fact, exceed the real world time they spend on the digital world. So we need to think and to rethink, to reorientate our thinking, how that we can face the futures, and what most important is to prepare and to create our own futures. So let us move to the next panelist, Dr. Norfadillah. Dr. Norfadillah is now a senior lecturer at the University of Science Islam Malaysia. She obtained her PhD from the Center of Petroleum, Mineral and Law Policy, University of Dundee. She involved actively as a member of the Futures of Mediation from Futures team at the University of Science Islam Malaysia under the then UNESCO Chair of Future Studies. She attended various futures workshops on higher education and presented papers on futures thinking, legal education, Malaysian politics, and Islamic educations all over the world. Dr. Norfadillah was the director of the Islamic Education Foresight and Fourth Industrial Revolution, a conference held in Malaysia to disseminate awareness on futures to the Muslim educators. And currently, she is working on Islamic foresight under the Prince Muhammad Fahd Center for Futuristic Studies, Kingdom Saudi of Arabia, and as the project leader of Youth Foresight and Civic Education Values 2021, a collaboration of USIM, US Embassy, and the Prime Minister's Department. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I would like to welcome and to invite Dr. Norfadillah to share her thoughts, to share her insight on the topic. And please, I think, inshallah, she will enlighten us how the futures will be in the about the student development and activism. Please, Dr. Norfadillah.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to share my screen here. Desktop one. Yes. And can you already see the screen? Okay. Can you already see the screen right now?
Yes, Dr. Fadillah, you can proceed.
You can see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much to the organizer, Dr. Zul Hassan, my colleagues, Brother Ahmad Naim, and also Brother Harul Arifin. Also to Madam Zarina, I am very happy to be able to talk to her directly. And also Dr. Anissa earlier, I have met her during the APFN workshop at Bangkok. So, and also to all of the students, I thank everyone for this opportunity to come back to the alma mater. IIUM, a place that have given me a lot of exposure during my study time, and all the knowledge that I have acquired, alhamdulillah, I've been appreciating it so much. It has been a very good guidance for all of my undertakings until today, and inshallah for the future. So for this session, I will be basically sharing a little bit of my personal reflections on futures thinking and how I see futures thinking is as an important tool today. And I will try to also relate it to student activism, which I think when we talk about youth, it is a very big canvas because it contains a lot of possibilities with the strength of youth today, especially the Muslim Ummah. We will be achieving a big portion of the world population in the future, and most of the population in the future from the Muslim Ummah will be youth. And so here, I put here, first of all, every time we talk about futures thinking, actually futures thinking for me is something relatively new. Okay, in my personal experience, this is a very recent engagement, of which when I involved in futures thinking, I thought that it has given me a big a different dimension of thinking in trying to understand what is happening today. So, for example, in the past, when there was this election, 2018 election, everything was happening so fast, so quick. And at that time, coincidentally, there was a foresight workshop, and I sat there and we tried to think of what is happening at that particular moment in a systematic thinking of future studies. And alhamdulillah, I saw that future thinking is a powerful tool to understand changes of today. So in many of our experiences, we tried to also look at the futures of universities, the futures of the Muslim Ummah, and futures of leadership. And today, I think for all of you, those who are better to do, the best persons to do futures of student activism are the students themselves. But inshallah, we will walk through what are the criteria of futures thinking. And for me, when we talk about student activism, I recall my student days. I was also in the Law Society of International Islamic University, ICOL, and during my PhD time also I was involved in student representative to represent the students. And those, alhamdulillah, for all of you who are here, I think should be very grateful, because this is a path where not many go through. And inshallah, by way of experience, we will gather a lot of gems for us to be as a guidance in the future when you are in the working space. So the mega trends that we have today, there are so many changes taking around in front of our eyes. So it is a unique era because many of these changes happen very quick and in a mass, which involves a lot of people, which transcends the society, it transcends economy, environment, and political aspects. Okay, among them, Internet of Things, climate change, aging workforce, resource scarcity, changing demographics and urbanization, and also shift in global power. So a person who is 60 years old today basically can almost see all of these changes at one go from one lifetime. You can imagine after World War II, just when the country is new, you know, you saw how the country evolved, if you're talking about Malaysia. And then from the era where you don't have water from the water pipes, you don't have electricity from the grid, even when you want to iron your clothes, you have to put, you know, arang batu, etc. So those are the time until to the era where electric came to homes, and then water from pipes, telephones, and early introduction of computers. Today, and in your generation, when you are born, you're basically, as what Dr. Anissa said just now, you are the generation of whom have never seen a situation without technology. So then came the era of Internet of Things, where everything is connected to the internet. And now we are having a huge disruption, that is COVID-19, which has hastened, or which has made a lot of things fast, moving forward to things which are unprecedented. Okay, so from these mega trends were captured by the PwC, and to understand these changes, of course, what I learned from futures thinking is, first of all, it requires you to read a lot of materials, just as mentioned by Brother Ahmad Naim just now. Now my books have diversified to be a collection of books to read. Not only from the books that you are reading for your subject, you have to read further, to have to expand the horizon of reading in order to understand. Okay, so here are among the changes, you see globalization, future of work, urbanization, digital revolution, aging population in certain parts of the world, and emerging markets and climate change. All right, so basically, with all these changes, at the end, what we want to achieve is we still want to see a good society, we being a good member of society, a good environment, and how do we fit in all of these changes? One, as a person, an individual, and secondly, if you are in student activism, how student activism will face all of these changes and adapt it to in its course. The next part is about industrial revolution. You already know, we have talked about it. There's a lot of times when you learn about history, you also learn industry for 3.0, how, from the spinning jenny, if you learn history until today. But now you will see that this development has already knocked your door. And so, for example, how does it affect to the people around you or the situation around you? As student activism, you will see how it affect the behavior of the students, as you've mentioned about campus issues, for example, social behavior, and how we have also moved from learning traditionally to e-learning. Okay. All right, and then we also see developments in the newspapers. When you read it, you will find these are like sporadic news or random, but having futures thinking, you will try to adopt this structuredly, thinking, okay, these are the signs or the signals that is already happening, not very far in the future, but it's already there, and how do we respond to these changes? Okay, so Ibn Khaldun has already been mentioned also in the earlier presentation, is a father of sociology, and is now a referred scholar in the field of futures thinking. Now, how he saw changes, the changes of events, the rise and fall of civilization, he read history as if he was a doctor diagnosing a patient, looking at the causes, the reasons, and others. And Ibn Khaldun mentioned that the past is just like the future, just like how water resembles each other. So these are the elements, the main two elements, the luxury and asabiyah, the group feeling. That is the factor that determines the sustainability of a civilization. And that is how we can also relate to student activism, how student activism can sustain itself. Looking at this, as long as you have the group feeling here can be put as a positive side, that is the common cause. So student activism, as long as they have this common cause and knows how to bring the group together, and is not diverted to any other unnecessary feelings or attractions like money and etc. So the sustainability, the lifelong of a particular cause will be longer and more sustainable. All right, so next is futures literacy. We know that futures literacy has been lifted by UNESCO as one of the most, as a literacy next to reading and writing, just like a long time ago when people were asked to learn how to read and write in order to survive in today's world. Okay, so it is a literacy for all. If in the past it was only practiced by the military or corporates or governments, but now it is now being widespread to the society, and even in some parts of the world to the kindergartens and schools. Okay, now futures literacy, futures of studies, it involves studying the trends or the patterns that we see today. What are the trends or patterns that would likely to continue? What could possibly change? And then there are wildcard scenarios. For example, in student activism, I could say, for example, if everyone goes a la carte, or if studies go very flexible, probably there will be no one at the campus, and what is going to be the future for student activism? That is one example of an outlier. Okay, and then we will look at these scenarios. When you talk about futures thinking, there are many futures, and these futures are based on the data or the signals that you have today. So in futures thinking, you are asked to look at what are the best scenarios that would happen, the worst scenario, and then the scenario which is which could suddenly happen, and then how do you adapt to these scenarios? Or if you do not do anything, what would be the business as usual scenario of student activism? So the futures do not yet exist, but it can be imagined, and by having this thinking of the desired future, then it creates purposefulness in every decision making so that we will not fall out of track, and it also creates more possibilities in extending the boundaries of seeing realities. All right, so there are many mechanisms on how to read futures, among which is popular or which is adopted by many futures practitioners today are those which were introduced by Professor Suhail Inayatullah. He introduced the 6 basic concepts of futures. And then there are also other scholars from the West, from America, from Europe. You can see some of them approach futures thinking on the theoretical approach, some are more practical. So down there, you can see lots of books talking about futures. One of the book, I think, mentioned by Brother Ahmad Naim Ja'far. So it is interesting to read these literatures and see how people have imagined the future. Some may see a little bit not realistic. Not realistic is because when you fix your mind to what is happening today, but you see how they have expanded the horizon of thinking and trying to portray what is possible or probable to happen. These are among the activities that we do for futures thinking. If you have the chance to be in your groups, you will be doing this with your facilitators. For student activism, number one, which I think very important, especially when we are representing an Islamic institution like IUM or USIM or any other, or as a Muslim yourself, we can take the inspiration from the Quranic story of Al-Kahfi about the youth, the youth who saw social justice and also act on faith, and how Allah said that they were the youth, innahum fityatun amanu bi rabbihim wa zidnahum huda, and they kept asking for forgiveness in their quest of doing their activism. So the Islamic worldview is very important because here you will incorporate the role of youth and the role of you as Khalifa on earth, vicegerency on earth. So student activism does not stay in silo, it is interconnected. Number two is how it is connected to higher education. Higher education in every society higher educations are leaders in education. So when you are a student activist in a higher education, and therefore there are certain expectations which we have to fulfill. How do we represent leaders in education in the society? And therefore we will have to reflect the meaning of university, the meaning of university, the role of universities, where knowledge should grow and where knowledge should benefit the society. And then the next one is, what do higher educations promote? This is to give you some frame in working. So for example, the country, the university of your place, probably Rahmatan lil Alameen, or in other places, integration of knowledge. And then the country, what does the country want for higher educations? For example, building democratic society, civic society, and the world is also having its own agenda, which we will have also to streamline. That is, for example, Sustainable Development Goal. Okay, and then these are among the best case scenarios which I could think of yesterday night. Okay, so I think if you were in your own group, it would be more fun to imagine and dream. What are the best case scenarios? I'll just read it here for you to see. Number one, the best case scenario is when student activism are referred and relevant. Student activism creates respected nation world leaders. Student activism is exemplary in bringing public attention of real issues, not any issues, but real issues. Student activism leads societal transformation towards a better society. Student activism is knowledge-based. That is why that you have to read. It requires a lot of readings. Student activism brings sense of community. Student activism connects people and is collaborative and inclusive. Student activism enhances students' educational experience. Student activism takes learning to the real world. Student activism is compatible to academia, and student activism is cross-disciplinary. Okay, next is the worst case scenarios. Okay, we don't like to talk about this. Sometimes it's a taboo in the society when you talk about worst case scenarios, but we have to talk about it in futures thinking. Student activism is unwanted, irrelevant, ignored. Student activism brings all unverified issues. Semua benda nak bawa. kan, tak tengok dulu benda tu betul ke tak dan sebagainya. Student activism confuses a society with conflicting values. Student activism is emotion based, not knowledge based. Student activism breaks the community. Student activism is in silo and is very defensive. Student activities create questionable or corrupted leaders. Student activism are armchair leftists. Asyik nak bangkang je kan. Student activism does not know what it is doing, and student activism is disconnected from the real world. All right, there are also other aspects when you go deeper in futures thinking. I don't put this in the structure because sometimes you can do this by way of causal-layered analysis. You will have to see about the criteria of the people around you, student activism and the rest of the students. When you are doing activism, you have to notice what are the rest of the students are doing. Are they together with you, or are they all individuals are also in silo? Student activism in a la carte or flexible education, as I've mentioned just now, maybe you don't have any more student activism at that time. Or system education, or the system, is it highly regulated? Is the university keep checking on what you're doing, or is it reasonably regulated? Student activism in the digital era. Student activism and politics, they know politics, but they do not know how to do politics. And then the attitude of like, follow, share. Student activism for some enter student activism because of formal benefits and formal advantages for themselves, for the certificate, etc., but are they really doing the work? Okay, the support, teamwork from your group. How do you sustain your group when there's a problem? Do you blame your leader? Do you not support them when there are risky decisions to be made, for example? And then student activism carrying global agenda. All right. So this is at least what you can have as a reflection of your own learning journey. If you are in student activism, try to portray yourself having an akhlaq of the good akhlaq of student activism, whether it is as a society or for you as an individual. For yourself, build leadership. If you are a leader, become a good follower, be reliable, be professional, able to manage your project, capable, develop the skills to meet new people, be a team member with trust, and then I could see behind it what I have put two more. Okay, all right, and then in futures thinking we use the concept of metaphor. This is for you to have this conscious mind of an image. Okay, for example, if I put examples here, maybe you can see this further. For example, do you picture student activism like a bottle biosphere? So for example, do you work in student activism just like in one jar, growing very flourishly, but in one jar? Okay, or are you like an open lake? Student activism, is it like the clownfish and the anemone, promotes collaboration and mutuality, benefiting each other, benefiting the society, and the society benefits the students, for example? Or student activism, are they like the boy who cried wolf? Okay, false alarm always. All right, so one more last slide before I go off. Futures thinking in the classroom. I think I've done this quite some time with my students in the class to see when we ask about an issue in law, for example, we always ask the 5 questions, but we add another one. What if this and this happen in the future? We see change as something which is normal and which is speeding up, and we are comfortable with changes, and we see events as interrelated, and we accept as a premise that there is always a possibility of alternative. Okay, so that is all I think from me. So thank you very much.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, Dr. Norfadillah, for a very exciting for me and also insightful and informative and thought-provoking as well. I would like to invite Dr. Fadilah, Brother Naim, and Brother Harul Arifin, inshallah, to write a chapter, okay, on this topic, because we are now have a project to publish a new narrative of student activism and student development. Inshallah, we will also organize a conference on student development and community engagement with an objective to create a new narrative of activism, which is more sustainable, progressive, dynamic, and at the same time promote fairness and justice. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Dr. Norfadillah, for bringing us a journey, okay, introducing the students to the disciplines of future studies and also foresight, and also the important and the essence of futures thinking. And Alhamdulillah, I think I really interested to talk more about the worst case scenario and the preferred or the best case scenarios for the student activism, because we want to have the ideal metaphor, and then we can plan and create or predict and create our own future, and particularly to the students who want to continue the legacy of the previous generation to promote more dynamic student activism. Because right now, a lot of challenges happen due to the pandemic, due to the fourth industrial revolution, due to technological globalization. Okay, thank you so much. Now we move to the third panelist, Brother Harul Arifin Muhammad Munir, my good friend. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Brother Harul Arifin, no need introduction, but allow me just to mention or to highlight a few, right? Brother Harul Arifin, I think he's a lawyer by practice, graduated from IIUM as well, but also not only LLB, but also LB Sharia, so he can speak Arabic, Alhamdulillah. And he obtained a Master of Law in International Law as the Chevening Scholar of British Council. And in the context of future studies, I think he's undergone training and series of training, particularly under the leaderships or under the purview of the so-called renowned scholars, Professor Ziauddin Sardar. So currently, Brother Harul Arifin is the Senior Manager, Research Institute Darul Ihsan. Institute Darul Ihsan is think tank, okay, to assist the government and civil society to formulate the policy and direction to develop the excellence of Selangor and Malaysia in terms of socio-economic and political conditions. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite and to bring all of you, Brother Harul Arifin. So Brother Harul Arifin, 15 minutes to you. Welcome.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Dr. Zulkifli Hasan and all my fellow friends, Dr. Fadilah and Saudara Naim. Okay. I think one is the common thing between three of us. We are all come from School of Law, so we should be lawyers outside there. But rather than we choose to be something rather than just Zul, I think you agree with me. If we back to our student day where we study a law book, you don't have a single picture in a law book. And I'm not saying boring because because people might not accuse me of that. But I think the main thing that that kind of spectrum of field that we come from. So I think something you have a colorly friend here. Then the presentation does not only have words, but they also have pictures and others. Okay, I just want to share my. Can I share my slide here? All right. Oh, because it. Okay. All right. Number one, I think Dr. Zul, I think based on the presentation by Dr. Fadilah and Dr. Brother Naim, is cover everything there. So I think for my presentation, I would be concentrate more towards my sharing experience, rather than go deep in the future study. But I think I would like to begin the narrative of discussion at my point here is that on the quotation, if you do not shape your own future, someone else will. So I think this is something, jika anda tidak membentuk atau mencipta masa depan anda akan ditentukan oleh orang lain. And another quotation, I think something that also inspired me is that jika anda tidak merancang, if we not try to merancang kita our future, determine our future masa depan, kita akan dijajah, we being colonized, and anda akan menjadi sebahagian daripada another one future masa depan orang lain. Itu I think the main point that I would like to highlight here for those who are for the student, so that means if you want to, why we need to have the skill to shape the future, because we want to determine what is future the best for us. That is number one. Then I agree with Brother Naim and Dr. Fadilah here, where actually when we discuss about the future and shaping you as a student, for myself and for at this particular moment and time, I think this is three key that you need to have. The first one is reading. You need to read a lot. Yeah, I think most of us, Fadilah and Naim, we are the book lover. I think Dr. Zulkifli Hassan is also more than that. Yeah, we need to read. If you want to join any course or any module, if you just read a book one a year is not enough. Or you just use YouTube, to hear or to explain. I agree on the concept of for the future concept that we might have a new kind of knowledge intervention. So you can, rather than book, you can use video, you can use Google, and but the craft of the knowledge, I think you need to have a reading. You need to have reading skills. So for that, I think you need to have a very good reading skill. You must embrace the speed reading techniques. You must have how to read fastly and how to pinpoint the thing that you want to read. Second things that I think that very important as a student, you need to have an observation technique. You need to be someone who can observe. You can use all your visual, auditory, or your all your sense to observe everything that in front of you. And the third one, I think the most important part that you need to know in terms of analysis. This is the thing that I would like to prefer for the student to focus on. The other one that I think the most important part also is that toward the extension what Dr. Fadilah had said, that as a student we cannot I would like to, this is Pasteur theory, this is the environment that as a student you cannot run from it. Yeah, number one is politics. You cannot run from the politics because the politician always do what they want think the best for you, but they might not best for you. So you need to challenge it. Politics. Number two, economy. The environment of the economy will impact you as a student. So you need to challenge that. Number two, social culture. Yeah. Number three, technology. Yeah. For now, as what Dr. Fadilah said, like us now, smartphone. For I think Zul, at the student day, we just use a smartphone when I at second year at the university. From that time, I have a smartphone. I think not a smartphone. We have that time is like phone like 3310. In Malay, we call it 33 sekupang. Is it correct, Dr. Zul? 3310. Yeah? It's a just small phone, just want to call. You use it to call for calling, not for internet browsing and so on. Then it developed. Now you can we saw that student at the primary level already have a smartphone. That technology change. Number 5 will be ecology. That one is what the challenge that we facing off. And the third one, the fifth one, the sixth one, there will be the religious. Yeah. This I think this is the Pasteur theory is the most profound one of the theory on which we cannot hide from it. It will determine or might be influence our society and then also yourself. But it can be developed further. From this, you can have a trends and how the scenario will begin and how it impact our life. So we need to have a strategic thinking, managing, planning for you to determine what is the best for yourself and for our future. So I think to do that in terms of your student activism, yeah. For me, when I have coaching or have a training with the student, I always said that you need to have this kind of ingredient when you do your student activism. Number one, you need to have insight. So you need to have research. You need to do a lot of environmental scanning, what we call it environmental scanning. You need to scan your environment first. When you do a program, don't just go, do you think the program within the box of your mind, then you go to the field to do a program. No, you need to go do the program to the field work first, gather so much information, what kind of the audience, what is the best for that particular participants. You need to have the insight, the info of the program. Then you need to have planning. After planning, you need to have activation of it, and then you have to have a monitoring, and then of course, at lastly, you need to have a refining. That one is something which is, I think, the most important part that you need to discuss regarding the matter. I would like to share a few analyses that I made during our course with Prof. Dr. Zia in post-normal time. So you know that when we talk about the future study, there is a lot of school of thought. Dr. Fadilah may come from the one school of thought. He might not agree with me. I come from the one school of thought. So we do a lot. I think the technique will be the same, but maybe the principal technique will be the same. Maybe in post-normal time, we have a tree tomorrow, we have concept of metaphor, so on. That one, I think it would be the same, just a technique, the method of technique. A few trend analysis I would like to share here, or emerging issue. When we have a workshop during our post-normal times, when we discuss about the future, we discuss about the metaphor. This is the one type of the metaphor that you use, because that time is the issue of Avengers. Dr. Zul, you know Avengers? Avengers during that time. So there is the issue of canonism, the rise of fatherhood. So we discuss of it. This is some kind of something that another thing that we can discuss. And in our workshop, Literacy and Fluency, we discussed about the empowerment of young leaders in Malaysia. I think one of the methodology that we use is backcasting theory, on which you try to look it from the back to up to the future. So we try to discuss how we can empower 70% of members of parliament are young political leaders. At that particular time when we discuss, so we put at the end of 2039, for example, we have 70% members of parliament are young political leaders. So this is some type of how we do it to empower the future. Yeah. So we can say here that some of the future development. Another way to put it, we also discuss about the empowerment of young leaders in Malaysia, how to accelerate adapters and blockers. Because one of the theory, which is a profound theory in terms of to move a student activism, I think is the keyword is empowerment. So in IDE, because we have a good relationship with the policymaker, we always say to the policymaker that we need to have an empowerment concept when we do any such activity. Based on our study, students nowadays didn't want, if you want to organize a football match, you just organize it and ask them to participate. Students nowadays, the young generation one day, they want to organize the program rather than just participate of the program. So this kind of the concept that the concept of empowerment is something we need to promote out throughout the future thinking process, so that each of the policymaker, when they do any policy change, they need to be empowered rather than when we talk about Undi 18, so sometimes the old guy talk about Undi 18 rather to give to the Undi 18, those who are at the age of 20, 21, how they want to peer up within their peer to accelerate more or to promote more on Undi 18. That why because therefore why when we look at the discourse in television on forum, the old guy talk about Undi 18 rather than you want to give the old generation, let them talk about Undi 18, what they feel about it. So that what I mean on the empowerment side. So the things that we discussed. So I think when we said that a student, this is some of the canvas that we discussed in our literacy to fluency in the future study workshop. In my group, we discuss about empowerment of young leaders in Malaysia. This is my topic to discuss. So I just sharing you what the things that we discuss in our future. We discuss about how the event will be happen, how the structure, how the narrative. So that kind of situation given layout to the most important part in our future shaping the student activism. I think that's some of the study method that I would like to highlight. There is one more thing. If I can stop sharing. Sorry, Dr. Zul, because I'm not combining the slide. Okay, I just want to highlight the student here. When we talk about student activism, Dr. Fadilah give you the insight of the student activism at the student scope. Yeah, I would like to move your further. When we talk a student activism, don't think only at your round the society within your campus. You need to go beyond. So you need to go to the civil society level, on which we have here a concept of civil society, which is now emerged to the traditional concept of civil society. It is in silo, on which we have a separation between the government and then the business sector and civil society. But the new paradigm of civil activism in terms of civil society, we have a new paradigm on which it have interrelation between the three part: business, government, and civil society. So they have an interaction kind. So that kind of thing that we need to promote further in the future. I think that's some of the analysis that we can have, and I would like to promote lah. Tool for all of you. And then last thing, Dr. Zul, the last thing that I would like to promote here, one website. Let's see, let me share the website. Okay, I would like to promote here one website that we just developed from the Center for Post Normal Policy Future Study and IT UK. So this is the website, we call it Atlas for Post-Normal Time ES, Atlas for Muslim Future. It's a very good website. On if you have a time, you can hover it around, on which it have giving a trend, dominant trend, and mapping to what happened in the Muslim country. So like Muslim water, it just developed, but we need to put it. They are now try to enhance it. So now you can hear it, Atlas of Muslim Future, what happened. So if you can click to each country, and then those who are you in IIU, we actually can enrich this by, if you have any research and so on, you can edit through it. So it is something which is I think we can promote that, then it be useful for all of you. Thank you, Dr. Zul. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Harul Arifin. I think very, very interesting and thought-provoking as well. I just had a meeting with Prof. Ziauddin Sardar, I think last Tuesday. Just exploring the Atlas of Muslim Futures is very, very, I think fantastic and amazing effort by Center for Post-Normal Times and IT UK. And Brother Harul Arifin have already, I think, brought us the framework to nurture the student futures thinking. He mentioned about the importance to understand the current situation and also to analyze the relevant trends, to identify the drivers, and to explore the possible and probable futures. And I think the analytical skills is very, very important, because futures thinking requires everyone to think analytically and also to think strategically, so we can design the strategic futures of our own. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, now, alhamdulillah, we have already listened to all the three speakers, the three panelists. So let us move to the next things is a Q&A. I received several questions, okay, from my friends, okay, to talk about this topic. Okay, let us, I will pose these first questions to Brother Naim first. Okay, to Brother Naim. Okay, Brother Naim, what are the issues and the real conundrums of the student activism nowadays? Okay, perhaps is it the digital world or the pandemic or what? So how that we can address all the issues and the problems so we can create a new futures, okay, for or alternative futures for the activism. Brother Naim, please.
Thank you, Dr. Zul. I think let me go back to the very fundamental questions of our time. We are living in the post-industrial society. It is something may not be, articulated publicly, but I think I need to bring this quite a meta, knowledge when it comes to how our current society has been formed in the way that facilitated the industrial economic model, which promotes mass. Everything has to be massive, because by creating industrial economic model of mass production, we end up producing a mass education, mass media. So the idea of being big government, big corporation, okay, big NGOs, and others has actually become the popular culture in our society. So in order to answer your questions about the conundrum or the dilemma faced by students, especially in this current moment, we need to go back to provide a new, alternative narrations or paradigm, what kind of society that we are living now. Let me reiterate again, we are living in the society, post-industrial society. That means we can no longer rely on the economic logics of industrialism, where you can produce 2,000 students, they are graduating, and the big corporations or government would then absorb them in the similar massive numbers. Therefore, this is the time for us to go. I agree with Abang Ipin about the urgent needs for empowerment. But the problem is the empowerment should be at the personal level. That's why I would, some of our current engagement at this moment, dealing with these issues very much related to the issues of, the synchronization between job opportunity. Actually, there are quite numbers of economic activities that require a lot of talent, but there are mismatches everywhere in terms of the talent that is produced, okay, by universities or by higher education, and those talent are needed in the industry. So I think that's going to be at the center of the dilemma faced by the student. I could refer to one book by the title is A Global Auction, The Broken Promise of Higher Education. I think this is something that we need to confront the issue honestly and openly, especially at the university level. Because a more honest university, in order to confront this kind of dilemma phase, I would be sure that universities such as UIA would be able to, lead the change and to become a thought leader on that issue. So I would highlight three important area of those student dilemma in terms of the issues at student activism, as well as their future undertaking. First, to redefine themselves at the cornerstones of societal roles. That means they cannot go into a linear trajectory of development. They have to create avatar, as I mentioned earlier, maybe more than two, more than three, to play role and to pick up themselves, not waiting other people to acknowledge you, but rather than you have to create your own function, your own title, your own significant. Okay, creating position by yourself and by creating project, initiative, Facebook page, fight something that worth fighting beyond your academic curriculum or your undertaking. That's number one. Number two, I think the solution for students' dilemma as far as student activism and future undertaking would go around the ability to find a multidisciplinary undertaking, not necessarily staying into one particular role, particular discipline of knowledge, for example. Because by having a multidisciplinary outlook, you will be able to find and detect certain opportunity to create value that may not be ordinary or normal to our society. For example, those who are graduating from, for example, from law degree, they might see the dynamic change in terms of legal practices at this current moment, with having convergence of multiple professional services firm that would be, based on our prediction, there would be second tier conversion of professional service firm, not only legal practices, accountancy, tax advisory, business strategy, combined with some more technologically driven consulting. So we might be moving to Uberizations of a professional service firm. So those who are graduating from accounting faculty, law faculty, and those professional certificate kind of jobs may be, looking to have a more, redefined options in terms of their role. There is one book talking about in the post industrial society, everyone are storyteller. Everyone need to tell compelling stories. Okay, remember the book Laskar Pelangi? It is just a normal book by Andre Herrera talking about his hometown Belitung, and end up being worldwide literacy phenomena. So that means everyone has story. It is depend how you create that story to become compelling.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, it is about having a capital that is more than your academic capital or intellectual capital, your emotional capitals, your social capital that go beyond certain normal trajectory of the matters. Over to you, Dr. Zul.
Okay, thank you, Brother Naim. I think a deep answer. It needs another forum to discuss the answer. Okay, sure. My second question is to Dr. Norfadillah. Okay, we will talk about the evolutions of the student activism since from during the colonial era, then the post-colonial era, then the post-pandemic era. But most of the time, the activism, just like based on I conclude that ad hoc basis, or just to reflect or to respond, very responsive in nature. So, but now we need to change the narrative. Okay, so what is your view about change the narrative of activism? Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, changing the narrative is very important because we, by doing so, we will be responding to the real issues or the real surrounding that the students have. So ad hoc basis, we still need student activisms on ad hoc basis, that is to respond to the coming issues, but it has to be on a bigger, because student activism, because we talk about student activism, we today I think we should refrain from it being in a structured manner. It should be, in my opinion, like just when we discuss about leadership, it should be something more fluid in nature. So everyone can become student activists even on his personal ground. He can be ad hoc in nature, But if it is structured, it should be on a more sustainable ground in which these student activism are true to the cause. So one thing which I think I might just take this opportunity for student activism responding to issues, take the interventionist approach on a positive intervention. For example, when seeing issues, when making statements to the public, for example, look 360. How would your statement be seen when it is being read, okay, by everyone, and see whether everything is responded in a just way. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fadillah. Okay, so I think it's a combination of responsive and interventionist approach or proactive approach will be needed for the post-pandemic or the post-colonial era of student activism. So I would like to move to Brother Harul Arifin. I always inform him that in terms of political thought, okay, I will follow him because of his stand and because of his deep understanding. And in fact, he devoted his life, okay, most of the time doing research on politics, okay, conducting surveys, and even being interviewed by the media, doing the press release on politics. So Brother Harul Arifin, okay, most of the time, the old narrative or the old practices of student activism in campus, okay, refers to or concern on the national politics. Okay, most of the time, the university or the student affairs or the student development has to manage this well. Okay, but I'm thinking how to free or to change this narrative that the student activism in campus, okay, are not only independent from the political parties, but also they have their own say in deciding certain issues and make certain decisions. Okay, what do you think about this statement, Brother Harul Arifin?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zul. Very provocative introduction. Okay, all right. For me, when I see we talk about student activism, actually the activism part is something which is we cannot you cannot pretending of it. The activism itself must come from your heart. Those who are very, the emerging leadership nowadays, and then most of us here have, the background of when we talk about student activism, we go through, we try to hear what happened in the society, we try to feed it. So it must come from your heart first. So you must have a clear mentality, you must clear mind that you have your own heart, you want to help others. So that kind of noble intention need to be a part of you, because we know that as a human being, we are part of the creation of God, and we have a role as a Khalifah here in the earth. Because of that, we have the role, to love each other and then to know what happened on the ground. That I think to do so, I think you need to have back to what I've presented before. You need to have you need to read a lot and observe a lot. So you need to feel what happened down there by reading. Reading is to shape your mind and mentality to know various kind of techniques, various kinds of experience from the past leaders. Every day in the books, because they are giving their thought, their mind there. Number two, observation. You need to go there to meet people. Therefore, why in Institute Darul Ihsan we do a lot of survey, and then the survey we done it is a face-to-face survey. So when I recruit my enumerator, so I always give Dr. Zul then a motivation for them. When you go to survey, you're not doing it for the purpose of money, but you become the eye and then the ear of the what we call it, the people himself. Because the voice of people will be captured on the survey. You need to do it honestly in terms of, for us, qualitative or quantitatively, we want to put it in canvas to know what happened in the society. So number two, I think the most important thing that we can say for reading and the experience. The third one, I think the most important part is you need to evolve. So brother and sister, you can't just sit there in front of your computer, go through to the YouTube, or you become a keyboard warrior. Yes, you can observe. You can give your your democracy right to give to voice out. But at the end of the day, you need to go to the society beside that. So what the point is that I would like to give it to you is that when we talk about politics, does not mean the politics only to the party, but it's bigger than that. It's involvement of us as a leader, or as a student activist. You involve in the real world outside there. So you need to go there to make a research, to become the voice of the people. You can put it in the internet. Our nowadays, if you want to be what we call it hidup biar berjasa, or you want to be a student activism, is something which is easy. It's not rather than you just you nak kena register as a persatuan itu, persatuan ini. No, people now in YouTube, they have a lot of loose coalition between the youngsters now to do something best for the society. I think that kind of mentality we need to shape in terms of the student of IU for itself. And number two, the most important thing that I would like to stress here, Dr. Zul, don't be a student who are confining to your own, the one that Dr. Fadilah mentioned about the jar. You only, if you are engineering student, you only read the engineering student material. For me, when I become law student, I also read material from the psychology, social science, engineering. So you need to have a person who are, try to explore more, not confined to your scope of your degree, but you need to be more than that. So I think that is something which is we need to explore. And then I would like to encourage most of you, before you want to venture out in future study, you need also to learn more on the philosophy of knowledge. I think what inspired me after I graduate from IU, I have an opportunity to take master in Islamic thought. So there is a subject on philosophy of knowledge. The subject of philosophy of knowledge, I think it is something which is important because that combine my experience as a Sharia student to Usuluddin type. So we need to know more about philosophy, you need to know about akhlaq, you need to know what we call it in International Islamic University as the, what we call Dr. Zul, ICE, and the harmonization of the knowledge. So the person like Prof. Dr. Kamal Hassan, and I think Dr. Ahmed Abdul Sulaiman during my time, Tan Sri Harul Hashid, this is the person that inspired me. So at the end of what the point I would like to highlight here is that you need to have a giant beside you. So the giant theory, I always use it. Giant theory means you need to you need to visit a scholar. You need to have a discuss with scholar and then try to admire them and then try to the best take something from them. So that I think would change the culture of student activism, rather than you are confined with your own thought, but you need to diversify it. Yeah, Dr. Zul.
Thank you, Brother Harul Arifin. I think Alhamdulillah, now I promised to the organizer that we will end by 11:45. Still already 11:44. I think Alhamdulillah, the forum managed to expose, inshallah, the audience with the importance and the essence of future thinking. And for the students particularly, the future thinking will be able to train you to have the certain abilities and the abilities to learn and reflect from the past successes and mistakes, and also the ability to interpret and respond to the current situation, the trends and emerging issues, and finally, the ability to predict and prepare the possible futures, and then you can work on it. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, thank you so much. I would like to express our deepest appreciation and most gratitude to all the panelists, Brother Ahmad Naim, Brother Harul Arifin, and Dr. Norfadillah, for your amazing and I believe that insightful and thought-provoking ideas. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. And may Allah bless and grant us all greater accomplishments in the future, inshallah. Thank you so much. Take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. And hand over these sessions to Madam Zarina Nala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Dr. Zul, for that fantastic moderation and the way you encouraged, the discussion. And I think honestly, it could have gone on and things were really warm and hot. But it's already 11:45. It's Friday, and I think many of the men need to, go and Salat Jumat. Alhamdulillah, I think everyone is back from the breakout rooms. Yeah, we had 6 breakout room study. Let me just see who are in the rooms. Yes, we need to. This is really. We need to appeal that everyone changes their names. I have got so many Eliana Sophia, she's been cloned, and so many Anik Roslan. When you enter the main room, respected facilitators, respected note takers, respected participants, please go to the 3 dots, click on it, and you need to put in your real name so that we know who you are. Yeah? All right. Let me just ask, is Tan Sri Zul inside the room, Arni? Okay. Welcome, Tan Sri. Thank you, Tan Sri, for indulging us. And, we are so busy and you're running from one session to another. Jazakumullah khair, Tan Sri Zul. I see Brother Shakil. I see, okay, Dr. Amelia's in, Dr. Anissa. Can I ask which group is ready to present? Okay. They are IT people. They're saying they can't rename, yeah? All right, so we need to carry on. Who is able to present? Ideally students, but if students cannot do it, then if note takers can't do it, then facilitators need to present, unfortunately. Because in the essence of time, I need to, we don't have a lot of time. It's already 11:47. So sorry for this. We had meetings with the team, IT team, but a lot of people registered using different email addresses, and they didn't know that they could not do that, and they used the wrong passwords. So a lot of confusion. Okay, while we are waiting for them to rename themselves, Group 2 is ready to present. Shakil. Yes, wonderful. Shakil, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful, Shakil. Shakil, take it away. You've got 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Tan Sri, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, Tan Sri Zul is there. We have his attention. Go for it.
Okay, with the wealth of ideas, of course, 3 to 4 minutes is always a challenge to go through everything. But then I think what we were looking at is essentially a stress-free and peaceful Malaysia in 2040, right? I think our theme was on stress and time management.
Correct. That was your topic. Your topic was stress and time management. The students were your participants, and your event partner was Brodin Muhaidin from head of PMA, and the note taker is Intan Sophia. Yeah, so take it away.
Okay, thank you. And and I think I did ideally prefer some of the students presenting, but then for now, I'll just present what we came up with, right? So initially what we do is in this future triangle, we come up with what is the future that we want, right? And in that future, of course, broadly stress-free and peaceful, but how do we break that down, right? So there's a few different categories that we identified. And overall, a big reason for stress is cost, time. Finance is a big reason, education and healthcare, and also the whole idea about even the lack of time as well. So for education, of course, the students want personalized education, right? That each person can be assessed differently because each person has different strengths and different abilities. That education is also a hybrid, it's a combination of face-to-face and online. that education is either free or highly subsidized, right? And it also gives better opportunities to get jobs for people, and the fact that education should be for everyone. So that's education, right? What we see about healthcare is that the government will cover cost of healthcare. Everything is again free in the hospitals, but where will that how will the cost be covered? So the taxes will make healthcare free. It can be endowments. Maybe the rich or the ultra rich can be taxed further. And the thing is that in that future, also mental health is something that everyone is aware of, and that families are also aware that mental health is important, and it can also help in improving healthier relationships within the families as well. For environment, students in the future will take care more about environment, more aware of the environment. They will and all that. And for time, that free time is sacred. No one will disturb you during your free time. No employer will disturb you. You'll have 5 working hours per day, and you'll have 4 days a week. So of course, we know different countries are experimenting with 3-day weekends. So that will be there in this preferred future. So of course, what is helping us right now is the pandemic, in a way, unfortunately, is helping us, right? It forced us to go into online learning in this hybrid model. We know people like Greta and all that are advocating for the environment. That is helping us. We know government is already taking care of healthcare, subsidizing government is also working on taxes. So that's there. The gig economy is helping us with flexible jobs. Some countries don't allow employers to contact employees during free time. It's part of the law. So I think those examples are also helping us. And of course, other countries which have free compulsory education, greater awareness regarding the environment. Even the corporate sector, we see that more use of metal straws, less plastic bag usage, biodegradable debates, all that thing is helping. And what is preventing us, finally, is of course corruption is something that can it prevents us from getting there. The inefficiency in the labor market. There might be too much supply of graduates with higher skills, but there's less demand. So sometimes even the idea of the minimum wage may not be passed properly because some MPs, politicians might be part of the capitalist system. So capitalism itself, this whole idea of greed and profit maximization is preventing us from getting there. Deforestation doesn't help. The digital divide, the fact that some influencers, social media influencers, only talking about wealth, and not about education and healthcare or mental health is not helping. There's a stigma against mental health, and there's a mindset where the focus is on progress and development and not on sustainability. So these are different things that are not helping us to get this future. So that's kind of it. The last thing I'll just mention is some things that they have mentioned that they want to do, that they can do themselves. Some people can say that they can work on their mental health already, that they can start educating themselves, they can participate in fundraising and donation drives, they can start living sustainability. And also there's some advice for social media influencers to be more influential in education and mental health, not just about richness and all that, to tax the ultra rich. And we can see all this advice, and we will share this link with you guys so that you guys can continue to look at the different findings that the students have mentioned here. Yeah, Zarina, that's all.
Are you done, Shakil?
Yeah.
All right. Are there any direct questions so far from Tan Sri or Dr. Zul?
I'm okay, Zarina.
Okay, I'll stop sharing then.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Thank you, Shakil. Is there anyone else? Amy?
My student said she wants to do last. So group 4, our sister Fazlin said she wants to do the last. So
Norfadillah. Okay, are you there, Norfadillah? You did last. Okay, I won't catch you now.
Okay,
Group
thank
5.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Amy. Group 5, Shafiqah Hamidun. Are you there? Dr. Shafiqah Hamidun? Shafiqah, can you angkat your tangan, Shafiqah? IT people asking me that you used to angkat your tangan. Amy, I have to minta tolong that you present because they're not responding to me and we're wasting time. It's 11:55.
Alright, okay. In that case, Dr. Irwan, because Dr. Irwan yang his input is memang lagi baik lah. Alright. Is Dr. Irwan, are you in? Can you hear me? Dr. Irwan?
Amy, tak ada. Oh, there you are. Yay, hooray. Okay, Dr. Irwan, can you let him speak? Thanks, Amy.
Can you hear me now? Or?
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Irwan.
Okay. So so how do I share our triangle then? Can Dr. Amy share the triangle? So I'll be presenting, not Fazlin.
Dr. Irwan, can you see the screen? I already shared the screen.
Yeah. I can see the screen.
Because I think because we are running out of time.
Okay. So I'll just present this. So this is based on our discussions just now with our students. Ideally, they should be presenting because these are basically their ideas. But I'll try my best to do justice to them. So our theme.
Dr. Irwan?
Yeah. I don't know. Somehow I was muted. So let me just okay. So so this is from what we discussed with the students just now. Our group has been given this sub-theme on empathy and community engagement. So what we envision in the future is that in 19 years, Malaysia would be a just and prosperous country with a lot of happy multiracial citizens who are living in harmony and who are technological savvy, guided by true Islamic teachings and values. So this is what the students envision about their future in about 19 to 20 years. So with regard to so I guess we'll start with the weight of the history. So among the major problems is that the current generation, our students feel that they are living in this kind of an entitled society where they tend to take things for granted. So when they were born, basically they were already living in a high level of comfortness. All are already provided. The media and also these are being worsened when the social media have influenced the way how we define success. Where, for example, even our students mentioned clearly, you need to have a glowingly white teeth, a luxury home. All these things are making us to be a more kind of selfish and greedy, and also take things for granted because they never many of them did not experience the hardship of the previous generations. Okay, and then maybe we can move on to and also the wrong culture of learning simply for exam oriented. So this is another problem when they have been brought up in this kind of education system which emphasize the wrong thing. They will emphasize on the outcome and on their exam results. And then with regard to the push of the present, so what that they now have highlighted factors currently that may help them, that may push them to achieve this future, is that the availability of the current social media, which can be used to increase positivity and engage with the less fortunate. So the social media can be used basically to spread awareness of others unfortunate people, and be used to be set a role model, to highlight the right people. I think in our discussion we mentioned a personality like Ustaz Abid Liu, for example, to influence others to do good. And then I think we also mentioned the documentary like students from the United States are living on one. This is a very good documentary where the students they basically they leave their campus for short holidays, but they went and live in rural areas, and they basically they drink from the same water, they eat from the same food as the local population. Basically, this is what the students suggest, in terms of to be in other shoes. Basically, they should be and wear those shoes so that they can feel what is the issues faced, what are the hardship. And then at the end of that kind of a project, they should be able to come up with a solution to suggest for solutions for that, and this should be documented in the social media so that it can be spread out, because the current generation, they are very techno savvy, and they like, they are all aware of this social media. So hopefully with this kind of positive use of social media will create the right awareness. And the pull of the future is that right now, many education institutions all over the world, we are competing, and we are revamping and revising the education system, where we should go more towards the personalized learning and no more exam centered, so that hopefully with the right education system, it would create the right empathy among the students, such that when they are successful in the future, even though they are rich, they are powerful, they have the authority and whatsoever, they still have the right empathy and the kind of voluntary spirit, such that they would still want to help and assist the less privileged in the future. So that's what I think, more or less, I hope I have done justice to the ideas and discussions from our students in our group. That thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Irwan.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Irwan, Dr. Amy. We are now going to invite the next presenter. She has raised her hand. She will be allowed to present. Please get ready to present.
Where is Irfan? Irfan is not here today. Everything's a small mess. I'm trying to remain calm. Okay, can you please speak up? What's her name? There's someone who raised your hand. Can you please speak up?
Assalamualaikum. I am the one that raised my hand, but for our group, we will present together. So there will be 3 of us that will present each part of the future triangle.
Wonderful. Well done. Go ahead.
Hairil, are you there?
Ahmad, you present terus. Ada 2 lagi tangan I saw raised, yellow hands.
Yeah, they're supposed to present together.
Okay.
Khairul, start first.
Hairil.
Hello, can everyone hear my voice?
Yes, I can hear you.
I start sharing my screen. So can you guys see my screen? Hello, can you hear my voice?
Yes.
I can hear your voice. I can see your screen. Yes. Go ahead.
So our vision is Malaysia as a prosperous nation built on peace and justice. So what we youth want by 2050 in Malaysia, first is tertiary education being free. Free means free in cost, which we don't have to pay for the fees and whatnot, because we have pay our taxes, but then we don't look the hasil of the taxes for us. And next is individuals take up the task of teaching and learning, same as today. We want robots to replace our lecturer and professors, but we need that kind of assistance from the robots. And next is we want better transportation with no traffic jam. Nowadays we look, there are a lot of highways being built, and some of them are having some incident where there is accident in the highway construction site, but then it's still the same. There is a lot of traffic jam despite how much the highway is there, but the traffic jam is still there. So we hope, hopefully by 2050 we can resolve these issues. Then what we hope in 2050 is change of value, where we don't want people to be materialistic. We want people to focus more on empathy and philanthropy. Next is use more of sustainable technology. We don't want to have more waste, and we want to reduce waste, especially in food. Next is combat climate change with more sustainable technology use. Hopefully we can combat the climate change, and we are a little bit disappointed with our current environment minister with his current statement that he said Malaysia is not affected with climate change and whatnot, and it's not true. Climate change affects the whole world, and we want Malaysia to combat climate change together. Next is to improve political system. As we see, Malaysia is currently struggling with race and religion political whatnot. It's all nonsense. Actually, the division among the rakyat is not about race and religion, but it is actually about the rich and the poor, the leaders and the people itself, where the leaders is divide and conquer the people and blind us with their race and religion sentiment, rhetoric and whatnot. And we want to change that. Next is our to improve our healthcare system, where we don't need to import vaccine and to distribute the vaccine equally to the people, regardless what category they are in. And next is to have better pandemic control, because this is unforeseeable event in our history. And let's say if we have another pandemic in the future, Malaysia should be ready to control the effect of the pandemic. Next is to make online learning better, which we want to provide more free online courses, and we want the certificate is recognized by the employers and university, and which we hope this kind of free online courses can make the education more affordable to the student. And we want to make them the online education is recognized by all professional industries out there. And last is to prevent housing inequality, where we want to criminalize property investment to reduce the cost of housing. Next presenter on the push of the prison.
Okay, I am Mio Aizat bin Alias, and I will present on the push of the prison. So, the prison of the reality. Into the first point, the youth lack of education on politics. This because, as we know that the youth now are not introduced into the politics, as they focus on the education system. So, the previous government has suggested to the parliament on the Undi 18 now. So I think it was a good initiative by the government to prove that the youth also can voice their opinion and into the politics. Into the second point, into the social media play by pretty issues, information overload. As currently we are into the IT technology, most of people usually use technology such as Instagram, Facebook, or even Twitter to suggest their opinion, which is might create something that are not pleasant to the public. So this will become the problem in in govern our institution Malaysia. So the third reason is that the youth has no right chance to vote on the youth has no right channel to voice out their opinion. Opinion should be taken into consideration. Yes, it is true that youth also have their own opinion actually on the education system or on the income or something that are related to them. It might quite not good for other people, such as people that are aged 30 or above to represent them. It's good for the youth themselves to have their own represent, voice out their opinion that are not available currently. And the third point is on the COVID-19 pandemic. Uh, because of the use of IT, we usually use Google Meet, Zoom, or other online platform to make our schooling more efficient, less time wasted, and effectiveness of teaching. Based on data shown by in the internet lah, it shows that most of people currently like to work from home because they can manage their time at the home while at the same time manage their time at the work. The statistics show that maybe about 20% or 80% of people will just work from home after the pandemic end. This show that this new pandemic changed the how we work usually from the physical to the online one. So that's what the present reality of our vision right now. I will pass to our next presenter, Brother Amin Farhan, to share about the wake of history or the history barriers on the vision.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I think Brother Amin Farhan is not available, so I think I will present on the next historical barriers. The first point, the first, the first point is on the human nature. Is as we know that human in nature is always fighting each other, especially in the racism issue or between political powers or political parties and the greed of politicians. Because of this, it's hard for us to make the make the country become more peace or where people can freedom to speak or talking about their opinion. That will become the issue on how we want to realize our vision in the future. So the second point is the vision of courses in education system. As we know that our Malaysia educational system is divided into races, SK, SK Tamil and SK something like that. This barriers create something that unpleasant for our future that I think this prevent the unity between the races in the Malaysia. In the future, we might consider this as our problem that need to be solved. Okay. And into the last point, the societal look, preference, age, and experience. Yes, it's true that as I said before that in Malaysia politics, younger people cannot voice their opinion or voice their matters into the public because it sounds like that dorang maybe tak cukup makan garam or lack of experience like that they cannot voice their action. This become a huge problem in Malaysia in the future because I think everyone in Malaysia should represent themselves and voice out their opinion, whether is no matter age, no matter races, and no matter experience or even the what the title or something like that. We are free to voice out our action into the public or into the parliament, so no one will left behind. Okay, I think that's all from our group 3, uh, and thank you for inviting us for this.
You're most welcome, Yor. Thank you very much. That was good. Who's up next? If you raise your hands and you're able to speak, just jump straight in. The floor is yours.
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Hidayah.
Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Hidayatul Nabila. So I will be representing our group for the based on our discussion. I will not be sharing our screen because we didn't prepare the board or anything, but I will rely on the words. So hopefully the information can be grasped by everyone and hopefully beneficial for all. So for our topic is about post-COVID employment. So I will present first our vision, and based on the future triangle, I will talk about what we need to do to reach that vision. Okay, first of all, what is based on our discussion, what our vision regarding the preferred employment is that job enables multidimensional roles. In our based on that, we view that Muslim as a Khalifa. We have multiple roles, even as a part of the family, community, and also for the environment. This will lead us to be more involved and active in our job. And beside from that, we also see that from these multidimensional roles, it can be an opportunity for us to be involved in entrepreneurship. And also, we also have a vision that jobs should be free of gender or racial discriminations, which means that the job opportunity should be inclusive without any obstacles of distinction. So we view that in terms of the employment, they should have the KPIs that can be built in for the people to be able to contribute to the society. For example, we can take a look on how the CSR works. We can see that in a company, they might be involved in a CSR. The CSR, it can work as the medium for them to contribute to give the community in terms of the financial, in terms of the welfare, and also in educational terms. Besides that, when we look on the roles, we would like to specifically talk on the role of IUM to achieve this vision. And first of all is in terms of the soft skills. We know that soft skills is what is looked for when we are looking for job opportunity, especially after we are graduating. Due to the current condition, the pandemic COVID-19, we see that the after effect of the pandemic COVID-19 make it hard for job opportunity, especially for fresh graduates. But we see that aside from the hardships to look for jobs for the fresh graduates, we see that the soft skills and other skills, especially in terms of technical skills, related to online or IT, it can be an additional point for them to get their jobs. We can see that even though we are facing the pandemic COVID-19, there's pros and cons in these current conditions. Because the current condition makes many company decided to shrink their job opportunities for different purposes. For example, in cutting their costs for operation, and also make it them so for them to survive due to the current condition. Instead of that, we should look on a brighter side, where the current trends in the economy, where they look for the creativity and also innovation. So working should be a stepping stone to entrepreneurship. So jobs should be allow us to grow more in terms of our skills, and looking for the Islamic perspective. The jobs should be able to build our self-esteem, and also our moral, and help us to be more directly in touch with other people. Like I said before, the CSR is good as we can provide the benefits for the community. It can also create awareness about the issue that we can involve in the CSR. As we know, we are trying to enhance in terms of the SDGs currently. CSR is one of the things that we can use to create awareness about it. And during involving in the CSR, we can also develop practical skills. For example, when we are conducting an event, CSR events, for the people that before this have a poor communication skills, during that time they can have the experience and opportunity to be MC, and also to put their communication skills through the engagement with the community. And another that I would like to also include as the role of the IIUM in terms of the policies, aside from the soft skills just now, we can add the religious knowledge, not only for the students, staff, and also the persons involved in the IIUM, but also we can widen the scope into the society. And also we can also include the digital literacy, vocational training as a part of the thing that we want to focus on in the futures. And as what I said before regarding the SDG, it can create the environmental consciousness. So that's one of the role that can be done by IIUM to achieve the vision of employment that we want to achieve, which is multidimensional roles. And aside from that, we can look on the role of government, which means they can redesign the education curriculum for creating responsible and capable employees. In this context, we can see that the educational curriculum should be in line with how the job opportunity out there, which means that if the job out there wants more creativity, so the educational curriculum should instill the creativity elements. That is one of the examples. And also, they can also make a policy for the minimum wage, which means that even though they have the fresh graduates have different skills, but the wage, which means that their fees is not really relevant, which means they have more skills, but the wage that they receive is not really up to the par. And also, we can take a look at how the entrepreneurship can support businesses to develop the multidimensional KPIs, where it can balance the family, balance between the family, work, and community. Because we know nowadays that not only male but female also being eager in their career. So we can put into the government policies, which is the initiatives for the female to balance between their career and family. I think that's what we have from our discussion just now. Hopefully, it is beneficial for all. That's all from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hidayah. Abu Sufyan, have you raised your hand? All right, we have, okay, we found you. Please go ahead.
Okay, please, how do I share my screen?
One minute. Okay, please speak up. Anik, we can see your screen.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Abu Sufyan, sorry.
Okay, please, I'm Abu Sufyan Sharif, and I'm representing Group 6. We are speaking on how to manage your finances. Our preferred future is looking at our universities, that is our higher education, to be semi-economy, to make themselves like a semi-economy. That is an economy where like students are financially independent, and an economy where or an environment where students are financially independent and where entrepreneurship is increased. And we have an economy or university that provides programs and courses that teaches students on how to manage their financial practically instead of depending on theory. And the weight that pulls these factors are social cultural perceptions of students. Most students believe that after education or to be financially independent, like you have to be employed by someone or by government to be able to have access to finances or manage your own finances. And the next one is legal restrictions. That is coming from an international perspective. Most international students are not allowed to be able to work, and they are restricted to some aspect of the economy. So the universities being a semi-economy, this will aid the university to generate their own income and revenue. So this will restrict the legal aspect of working and helping students to generate their own revenues and income. This will make the students manage their finances through their education. We are looking at if this is not these are not happening, what will happen to the university and the country as a whole? We anticipate if this financial management are not done, the university and the country will reduce in generating more revenue, because most international students will be left out. Because students or individuals, they find comfort at where they are free to join the society, not where they are restricted to just follow a routine path. So once these legalities are restricted and the economy is being, the university is being semi-economy, students are free to join work, and students are free to partake in employment generation activities that will enhance their finances in the future. And also, if these are not encouraged, that is the entrepreneurship aspect. In the future, we will have more unemployed graduates. That is, we have more graduates in the system who are unemployed because they lack that sense of entrepreneurship, and they always feel like, I have to be employed by the government, I have to be employed by someone, but not job creation as graduates. So we are looking at a future where graduates can think of creating their own employment avenues by creating jobs or having the field of entrepreneurship in them. And the push factors that we present is, as a community, as individuals who gear towards the future, we recommend, like, we increase the trend and awareness of entrepreneurship. That is, building the sense of entrepreneurship in students and making them feel that they can also do it, not necessarily the government and the NGOs, the outside world employing them. We should practicalize it, not just theory. Let them feel the practical aspect of the entrepreneurship, not just depending on develop the sense of entrepreneurship, but not practicalizing it, not making them feel how it is done. We should get experts who know, like, who has been in this entrepreneurship road, to introduce them to how to start, what they should be like expecting in their way. Let them feel the practical aspect of entrepreneurship and encourage networking among students. This is like an informal. In the universities, we see most of our activities are geared towards the education. So we are encouraging that, we are looking at a future where students will have, will come together, not just education that will bring it, but maybe extracurricular activities like football, just interaction with each other, to share their experiences and their knowledge from their country view, and I think them with other countries, like sharing culture and knowledge. This will make the future we are all we are targeting. That is open for a future that makes the individual to manage his or her finances in his own way, but not necessarily depending on someone or looking at where people will ideally wait on someone to push them to be who they are. And this is the future we are looking at. This is just a brief of our presentation, and the full document will be sent to the group later. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam. Are you?
Yeah,
this is the. Have you completed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, brother. Jazakumullah khairul jazak. That was great. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Anisa, are you there?
Yes. We have our presenter, Shafika Hamidun.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So our theme is from group 5. So we discussed that we want our community to become both right and kind. So by being kind, it's mean that we want to understand other society and also understand our boundaries in helping them. And our team also discussed that our perfect future is having community that full of morality and ethics. We want our community to be more compassionate and respect towards each other so that we can make a better and safer future for everyone. And about the challenges, which societal views are being discussed as being a challenge that cause us to be left behind. For instance, individuals are expected to be married at a certain age, especially for women when they become 27 or 29 years old. And besides that, some are also expected to be a government worker or having unrealistic expectation from their parents, like their parents want them to become a doctor or a lawyer, something like that. And finally, we spoke about the matter that can push ourselves to present. One is academic development. However, it is important to remember that the academic development must consider the welfare of the people also, as the people will be directly affected by the changes of the development. So by the end of the day, we want the community to be both and, right? So yeah, that's all from us. Yes, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Hello. Thank you, Shafika.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I don't know.
Can you guys?
Yeah, I can hear
You
you.
can
Thank
hear?
you so
Okay.
much for the presentation. Yeah. Okay, who's up next? Are we the last to go? Is this group the last to go?
Hi. Okay. Thank you so much to all presenters. I think all of the presenters have already presented. Thank you so much. Dr. Anissa, if you want to say any comments or debrief the sessions, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam Zarina. And a big round of applause to all participants. I think you guys have done so well. And I'm so glad that people managed to get on board, wrap their head around the Futures Triangle. Some even managed to use the Miro board to put on their ideas, which I think was great. That's what we normally would do in our workshop. And it's a space where people can just drop their ideas, can be in pictures or diagrams or anything at all. But nevertheless, even with the discussion that was on chat box, I think a lot of many of our students, at least in my group, were participative, although they need a bit of prodding and priming and a bit of encouragement. But I think the best thing was that people are able to use the Futures Triangle as a systematic and a comprehensive analysis tool in order for us to put forward a vision or a preferred future of how we want to live our life, or how an ideal world would be. And that's really transformational. The stories that you all have just presented, you're actually looking at what's holding you back, and you're actually putting that at the back of your head in consideration when you're thinking about the next step forward. And that's really crucial. And I would also like to invite my co-partner in crime, Shakil, if you're here, would you like to also say some words?
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anissa. Yeah, no, I think I really appreciate that everyone has gone through it. And I think, as I was mentioning in my group, that this is meant to be for everyone, even whether you're in university or working or even beyond university. And hopefully some of these tools, you can even try it with your own friends or colleagues, and you can work on multiple different features. So I hope that was fun and simple. And I think that's the point, that this literacy is something that we can achieve for everyone. So we do, I think, imagine a world where everyone has greater literacy about their futures as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think that's us. And we're really pleased that the workshop, though with technical glitches, especially on my part, and with all the technical glitches and everything went well. And this is a good first workshop that we have right now. And I'm sure there are many more, hopefully many more workshops, inshallah, to be conducted more smoothly in the future. So back to you, Zarina.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Anissa. Jazakumullah khair. Forgive me too for whatever shortcomings. We tried our best. There were technical glitches here and there, or even in Malaysia. And I would like to thank every single facilitator out there: Dr. Riyasat, Dr. Aslam, Dr. Amelia, all my event partners.
Who else? I hope I've not missed anyone's names out. Dr. Aslam, Professor Amelia, Dr. Anissa, Dr. Ida, Shakil, Riyasat, and all the note takers, all the event partners, daripada Kurnian, PME, ASA, Kesatu, every single person, and all the Students Union. Jazakumullah khairan jazak. Will we benefit from this? And I hope to see all of you next week. There's going to be another session on the 16th, and hopefully by then we will sort out our technical problems. Take care and have a great Jummah and a great weekend. Assalamu alaikum and goodbye.
Can we request for a group photo, Madam Zarina? With Dr. Anissa and
Yes, we can take some photo. If everyone can please switch on your camera. Don't be shy, just switch on your camera. Thank you, Dr. Amelia.
Dr. Anissa is walking. MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
We're waiting for everyone else to switch on your camera. Let's take this good photo together. Okay. Where is everyone else?
They mentioned that they can't turn on their camera.
They cannot turn on their camera?
Yes, it's so unfortunate. I think perhaps that's the one thing that we also have to improve in the next.
Okay. Okay, we have actually allowed them to switch on their video and also unmute themselves actually. So for everyone else, please switch on your camera. I believe you can do that because we allow you to do that. Okay, is that possible for everyone? Okay, so let's make do whatever we have now. On my count, please show us your biggest smile. On my count, 1, 2, 3, smile. Another one. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating with this Futures Literacy Workshop. We wish you all the best and thank you once again. May you have a barakah day, inshallah, in this beautiful Friday evening, I guess, inshallah. So thank you so much and we'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.